Welcome to the Irrelevant Podcast. I'm Nathan Jones with my co-host Alex Lewis. Today we have a special guest with us today, Patrick Hageman. Welcome, Patrick, to the irrelevant and irrelevant world around us.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I've been a long-time listener, first-time caller.
So
Like been 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
Hey,
three.
I've listened
What,
since
what
the first
episode is this, Nathan?
so
Is this 18?
This is 18, episode 18.
I remember when you guys were
20,
talking
and then I'm
about
gonna call it quits.
you had to make it to 5 to be in the top
Yeah.
some X number percentage. See, I
Let's
actually
hear the
listened.
rundown, Nathan.
So 72% of all podcasts don't make it past episode 3, and then of the 28% of people that actually get past the 3 episode threshold, only 7% of those make it to episode 20. So we are 2 episodes away from being in basically the top 3 percentile of podcasts.
Are you sure you're recording now?
Yes, it's on. It's ready to go, baby.
Okay.
You know, I was ready to call it quits until I got a compliment on it yesterday. So
Ready to call it quits.
no,
What-
I'm
oh,
just
that's-
kidding.
So it was funny. Bill was like listening to just me and you's episode last week, and he was like, "Dude, you shouted me out on the podcast." So once again, shout out Bill because you actually made it to the end of the 2 hour. And
He did? Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I was like, "Bill, do you realize like nobody stays to the very end? You don't have
We're
to."
gonna
He's
start
like,
putting Easter eggs in there.
"Yeah." He's like, "Dude, it's funny to listen to you two complain and argue and bicker with each other."
It is funny.
Interesting.
I mean, that's
Pat, do you
I've
listen to
gotten
full
into the habit
episodes?
of more often than not, I have it on while I'm working out
Wow.
or I'm stuck in the car. So like
All right. I could
because I live in the North Burbs of Chicago, and then just literally on the other side of the border, but I drive into West Loop every morning, like that gym that we go to or that we went to when you were here, and I'm in the car minimum 45 minutes. So like
Jeez.
I decent clip of podcasts pretty regularly.
Welcome to Chicago, everyone. Welcome to Chicago.
Dude, they
Where I've seen
shut
some of the
down-
craziest shit ever in the 48 hours I was there.
Dude, they shut down the biggest highway going into the city. They shut down 2 out of 4 lanes and
Oh,
opened up
no.
the express lanes going into the city. So like you can't that usually the express lanes reverse. And literally if you get on the highway, it could take you 25 minutes or it could take you an hour and a half to go the exact same distance.
Oh my lord.
Great for planning.
I guess I'm
It
not
was
coming
so-
to
it was so
Chicago
dumb.
next summer, so
Ideally it'll be done by then, but who knows?
fingers crossed. We're gonna take the train from like St. Louis. I think we're gonna come from St. Louis and come up that way.
As long as you're not driving, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think that's our goal is to not drive when we come up to Chicago. Go see Wrigley Field and go see the White Sox field. So
I will tell you, the Uber drivers are absolutely fucking terrifying now. Along with all the other drivers, it was like roulette with my life every time I got in a car.
that just
Besides
sounds
with
like
Pat.
big city.
That was a good driver.
That just sounds like big city.
Everyone else, holy shit. Oh man. No,
LA.
I don't know.
LA
I mean,
was like
dude,
that.
I drove through
LA
all 5 boroughs and I fucking didn't almost hit somebody or almost get hit or anything crazy happen.
That podcast was
possible.
really funny, by the way,
Well,
when you
but-
were recounting like driving around New York and then realizing you had taken the shortcut to the airport and then went all the way back through.
Yeah, but you were also in a state of like maybe not so incoherent, so it could have been actually worse than what you believed it to be. And it was like might not have actually been that good. You don't know. You just perceived it to be good.
Be onto something. So Pat, why don't you tell us about yourself and how you got to be a coach and do all the cool stuff you get to do?
Yeah. So actually I'm not the shortest winded person in the world, so I'll try to keep this as quick as I can and feel
Take as
free to
long-
edit
no,
me
no,
as
no.
much as you
Don't,
need to.
Don't go for the short route. We prefer
We like the
extra
Fahey
long
style.
story here.
Yeah, the Fahey
Yeah.
style podcast.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think
Um
that's
so I had very limited experience with organized sports. I was never like a fit kid. I played sports, but it was never some like I had Oscar slaughters when I was little, so I'd be running full speed and my kneecaps would just dislocate and I would just eat it. And people thought there was something wrong with me because I was just running in the outfield and I would just fall. So like it wasn't until my freshman year of high school when I was wrestling that I actually did something about it. And they fixed my knees to the point where like I could actually like shoot a takedown and not collapse as soon as I was pushing against somebody. But I played volleyball and I was really good at it, but I was really short. So they didn't let me out of the back row. And I quit every single organized sport I played to ride BMX. And basically that was my only source of physical activity from freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school till college. And then I started going to the gym, but really only because I couldn't ride during the winter as much as I wanted to. And Chicago winters are pretty brutal. So like I would be out in 12-degree -10 wearing big fuzzy mittens and still riding because that's the only thing I really cared about. Studied mechanical engineering, and that was, I mean, it was interesting. I like challenges. That's something I've always kind of been drawn to, and I think BMX kind of speaks to that. Like I'm used to just eating shit against concrete and just getting back up and trying again because I want whatever's on the other side so badly that it doesn't matter how many times I fall. So I was drawn to hard things. And so I chose mechanical engineering because I knew it was going to be really, really, really challenging. Little did I realize that the most challenging part of it was when I started working and I was bored out of my mind and just stressed to the gills and like just getting screamed at daily. Like my boss literally screamed at me every single day, whether the problem was mine or not. Like, why don't I know how to solve every single manufacturing problem on a product that I've seen for the first time 2 weeks ago? They're like, why can't you just design these relief valves for these hydraulic control systems? And I'm like, because I've been out of school for 10 minutes. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know how to do this? Like, I'm reading these in textbooks and being like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, I'm sure I could try to figure this out, but not more than the person who's been designing hydraulic control relief valves for 20 years. All of that is to say, I was drinking and eating all of my feelings because I was stressed out. I was commuting 70 miles a day and wasn't riding as much, was getting hurt every time I rode because I wasn't physically active at all. I've had some pretty severe injuries, a 3rd-degree AC separation on my left shoulder, partial tear of my right shoulder labrum. I mean, I could go through the whole injury history. It's extensive. So at 25, I was 240 pounds. And I have a picture of it, and it's wild to look at because I think I showed you, Alex, when you were in town. My face, it looks like most of that weight is in my face. It's really, I looked like I was a pilot for a living, like, because I was wearing a leather jacket and aviators in that picture. And I'm like, I swear I look like I've been sitting for the last 40 years. And so my wife, girlfriend at the time, now my wife, goes, hey, it's your birthday, 25, and I got you a gym membership and I got you some sessions with a trainer. And I like, don't think anything of it. I don't mean anything by this, but like, just give it a try. And realizing like when I went to do push-ups, I was like, I can't do 10 push-ups. Like, it was, my shoulder hurt like crazy. I was gassed before that was over. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. Like, I didn't realize how far I had really fallen. So I started going to the gym instead of commuting home. Like, I wouldn't sit in the car for an hour and a half. I would go to the gym for an hour, and then my commute would only take me 35 minutes. Because I was commuting from like northwest suburbs all the way back down to just south of the Loop, back when I lived near school, because I went to school at UIC. And fast forwarding, I was getting into the gym more. I was enjoying like doing stuff and actually like feeling healthy. And I started getting obsessed with calisthenics, like watching all the calisthenics dudes on Instagram, like Frank Madrano and Ken Galarzo. Like, I mean, they were unbelievable human beings, dudes who were doing flags on the sides of boats. And like, it appealed to me because it was kind of like BMX in that way, right? You're doing tricks, you're doing all kinds of fun things. And so I couldn't do a pull-up. Like, legitimately, I had never in my life done a successful pull-up other than, of course, like an assisted machine. And so I bought Frank Madrano's program and I started doing negatives, like days and days of negatives. And I mean, I didn't know what I was doing other than to say, like, I just was getting closer. So I did my first pull-up at 220 pounds. and I was losing my mind. I was so excited. I was like, oh man, this is real. Like I'm gonna do a muscle up next. I mean, that was not the case. So little by little, I started like getting more into what people call HIIT, which is just Tabatas, or like high intensity continuous training. So that was my lower body. I would do pistol squats, and I would do lateral lunges, and I would do burpees, and like that was the extent of my lower body training. And then I would do any calisthenics workout I would find online. I would do every 90-day challenge. And I started finding like an actual community of people who did this, which made it that much more fun. Giving myself injuries all the time because I was not doing anything but a shit ton of pull-ups, a shit ton of push-ups, trying to do like freestyle plyo push-ups, and starting to play with resistance bands and all that stuff. But really that was the extent of what I did every single day. So I finally, with a good community of people, I met somebody who was a trainer, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I would love to do this as like a side thing. Like, I worked really hard to be an engineer. I'm not going to like quit my job, but like, this could be cool to do on the side. And so I'm going to his boot camps regularly, and he asked me to be like an assistant coach on his test panel for this men's health DVD. And he had actually quit his corporate job to become a trainer a couple of years prior. And then so I had one person who went, like one mentor who went the corporate route, one mentor who went the fully independent route from the very beginning. One dude was like the body weight HIIT Tabata like interval guy, and then the other one was a like full calisthenics freestyle. Like this guy, his dream was to compete on Ninja Warrior. And they pushed me. So I finally got my cert. Actually, no. So rewind. I took my parents to the gym, and we were preparing for my wife and I were preparing for our wedding. And I was like, I don't have any money, but I'm really interested in getting my personal training certification. And so I took my parents to the gym, and I kind of guided them through a workout. But I had told my dad, I was like, this is something I'm interested in, but I can't afford $700. And I got a quick pay that afternoon for the full price of the cert. And my dad was like, I think you're going to be really good at this. Like, I think this is something that you seem really interested in it. Studied my ass off, finally got certified like 6 months after our wedding, and started helping with this test panel. And I realized I had been promoted to the quality manager of, this is my third engineering job. So I was the quality manager of a manufacturing company, and I'm working like between 40 and 60 hours a week, getting phone calls and waking up at 2-3 in the morning because somebody's going to shut Ford down if they don't get this one box of parts that they may or may not have actually ordered. And because I'm the only one who answered, I'm like running into the office, grabbing this box of parts and driving to Detroit. And I was there it was 5.5 hours, and I was there for 5 minutes in the plant before they're like, okay, thank you, see ya. So that was my life. And so I started helping with this test panel. I'm going into the gym at 5 a.m. because I don't want to go to work, but I knew I really wanted to work out. And then I would go at lunch too, because I just couldn't stand being at work. And then after work, I would either train clients or go do this test panel, come back at 9-10 o'clock at night, and then start the whole thing over again. My wife had torn her Achilles at a Ninja Warrior gym. And so I was taking care of her, working 60 hours a week, helping with this test panel, and going to the gym 3 hours a day, and logging every single bite of food I ate because I was obsessed with getting the like calisthenics body. And I was going to be a WCO, like World Calisthenics Organization elite coach. And like, this was going to be like this big thing that launched me into, whatever. And that was the other thing, is I had to be able to do 10 strict muscle ups. I had to be able to do planche, at least some version of it. I had to be able to do a front lever, a back lever, and a handstand. And this was coming up in like August. So I was like training my ass off for this. And so through all of that, obviously clearly not managing volume at all, or stress, or any of it, I had a full-blown mental breakdown. And we actually just hit the 7-year anniversary of it in May. We were supposed to drive to Texas that day, and I was like ready to drive off a bridge. I was like curled up in a ball at home. Like I had just gotten home. My wife was in bed because she like couldn't really move around. And I was like curled up in a ball, like honestly sobbing. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I am absolutely miserable. And she's like, hey, if you're really this miserable that you're ready to like blow up your life and change everything, like burn down the whole thing. She's like, if you're really this miserable, quit. I had no plan, no prospects, no nothing. I gave him a month's notice because I was the quality manager, and I was like, this feels shitty to like bail on a quality system that I'm trying to build. Because I was redesigning the entire quality system of this small manufacturing company. And so I gave him a month's notice. I wrapped up everything that I possibly could, and then I bailed. And I had gotten an interview at one gym, and the guy was like, hey, can you just cue me through through an exercise? So I was like, all right, I'll do the thing that I know best, which is push-ups. I gave the guy 3 cues, and he goes, you know what you're doing. Go ahead. You'd be great. I'm like, I look back on that dude and I'm like, he had 0 clue what he was doing. I was doing all kinds of like animal flow kind of things, because these are all things I'd learned from Instagram. And then my personal training cert, which we all know how comprehensive those are. And so I ended up interviewing at Equinox, and I was on a family reunion, and like we had run to the grocery store to grab something. I don't remember what it was, but I got a phone call from the guy that I interviewed with, and he's like, hey, the job's yours if you want it. And it was like one of those 80s movies where you jump up and like cheer and freeze frame in the middle. Like, it was really, Alex knows I'm a huge dork. So like
Nice, Pat.
the opportunity, like I was so excited and so pumped at this moment, because like one, it gave me some direction. There was something that was on the other side of
The
this
real question
choice.
is what song is playing in the background as it's freeze framed? Because there's always a song playing when you're stuck in the
Yeah.
air, right? Because the credits usually roll.
I gotta say, don't you forget about me, because just a flashback to our wedding. I finished our wedding shirtless, wearing suspenders and a bow tie, reeking of tequila, dancing to Don't You Forget About Me, like in a giant circle at the end of our wedding. And I asked my wife, I was like, hey, was that embarrassing for you? She goes, nope, that was the perfect end to our wedding. And I was like, great. I think I picked the right person.
That's when you know you picked right. Absolutely.
It's like, and her mom comes up to me and like hands me a shirt. I have no idea what I did with it, but she's like, here, you probably want this. You're probably cold. I was like, I may have embarrassed myself. But like, she was like, we don't have a house, we don't have kids, like, let's do this, let's make this happen. And so I got my job, I started Equinox, I was there for like 3 months, and she's like, hey, by the way, I'm pregnant. And I was like, okay, now I really have to make this work. And so I was the dude on the floor who literally talked to every single person. There was not a single person who worked out during my floor shift where I didn't know every single thing about them that they were willing to tell me. That doesn't mean I was a good trainer. That just means I was really good at forcing people to talk to me. So the one thing I will say about my time at Equinox, they really did a good job of giving me a lot of education, and like at least putting me on a path to be thoughtful about the way that I train. And there was a lot of opportunity to choose continuing education that they either completely subsidized or you had discounts on. So I was a certification whore at that point. I did every single cert I could. I was in like neurochemistry of running and like the endocannabinoid system education at like 3 months into training. And I'm like, this is incredible. I don't remember any of it. I don't even know where the resources are from it, but I was just like, literally, it didn't matter if I could even understand half the words, because I hadn't taken a biology class since my freshman year of high school. I was a mechanical engineer. Like I liked physics. Physics and math made sense to me. So to make a long story short, I worked at Equinox for just short of 5 years. I made it all the way through their tier system. I was a tier X coach. And so I was doing more like lifestyle work with the people that I was with. And And I was really loving the depth of the way that you get to know people when you're coaching, and like how considerate you have to be of all of the different systems that are impacting someone's results. And through that, I actually met Cooper. It's funny enough, I was his mentor when he first started at Equinox. Which is so funny because like I got to watch him like start the West Side education stuff. I got to watch him like start to dive in, and like, I mean, you guys know Cooper, the way his brain works and the way it just like cracks open and starts absorbing information. And every single break, every single moment he had, he was reading this giant stack of West Side books. And it was amazing to watch him evolve and become this just incredible coach. So I was still trying to get to my WCO cert. He started writing a conjugate program for me to try to get me to be strong enough to actually do like a straddle planche. And I ended up having way more fun on max effort lower days than anything else, because I was just like, holy shit, like I've never held this much weight, squatted with this much weight. Like I think the heaviest I ever squatted was 368 to a box with a cambered bar. And it was his transformer bar, but he had set it to the cambered setting. And then I got close to a 500-pound deadlift. My bench still sucked because my shoulders were trash. I think I've just within the last year gotten semi-comfortable bench pressing with a straight bar. But I never actually got the WCO elite cert, and that coaching cohort kind of dissolved a little bit because one of their guys, like their main guy, kind of started to do his own thing. And so I think I carry 4 different calisthenics certs now, and that's not including animal flow. I have 2 different, level 1 and level 2 of animal flow. So I was really into calisthenics. But fast forwarding, the pandemic hit, and I was in the heart of the business district, like literally the heart of the loop. And once we shut down, I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing virtual sessions. I'm home all the time. I got to spend a lot more time with my son, who was 3 at that point. And because I was working like 14-hour days to try to make these pay period bonuses and just try to make as much money as I could to support my new family. But I missed so much of my first son's life because I was working these insane hours trying to hit, like, because if you missed one of these bonuses by a session, you missed out on thousands of dollars. So pandemic hits, I'm home a lot more. I'm having a lot more fun with like spending time with my kid and my wife. And then she's pregnant with our second kid. Because, that's how that works when you spend time together. Nathan, you understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm realizing that like I want to be around more. I want to spend more time with my family, and I just needed to do something different. And Cooper had started the Delta 5 intensive, and I was one of the first people to sign up because I was like, hell yeah, another opportunity to like learn from him and become a much better coach. And in that cohort was Kyler, Grace, Lawrence, Mo, and I feel bad because he was in and out. Oh, this is going to bother me. And he's probably going to be pissed that I can picture his username, and that's really going to bother me.
How dare you, Pat? How dare you not remember all your classmates from that?
I mean, you know me. Like, shit, that's really going to piss me off. Okay, it'll come back. But through that, everybody was like a legit entrepreneur. And I was like, they're talking about all these different things and how exciting it is and how amazing it is. And I was like, okay, maybe this is what I do. I'm on paternity leave at this point, like paid paternity leave. And I'm like, maybe this is my thing. Like maybe I should quit Equinox and start this business, because at that point, I mean, you guys have read Anti-Fragile. Like, talk about being fragile. Literally the only way I could get more clients is if people walked through the door of Equinox down in the loop. there was the loop was a complete ghost town. They're just now back to like a relatively normal volume of members and activity. So I couldn't imagine a more fragile position to be trying to grow my business when I literally couldn't bring people through the door. So I decided to quit and start what I've lovingly called Chiron Applied Health and Performance, which is a very long name for a business that I'm super passionate about, and I've loved and have had a lot of really cool opportunities to work with amazing coaches. And one of my friends and I had a book club where we would go through training textbooks. So we've read Science and Practices. We did Joel Jamieson's Bioforce Cert. We did Cal Dietz Triphasic Guide to Conditioning. We did the Spring Ankle, and then we started doing N1. So the book club has since stopped, but I kept going on N1 because it was like, I mean, it was so intriguing. At that point, I was like, oh shit, I had 100 pages typed of notes from the N1 biomechanics course. And actually, that doesn't even include any of the FRC stuff, because I didn't even talk about the surgery. But yeah, so the N1 stuff is amazing, and I can't wait to take more of their education because I see the difference in just the way that Alex coaches some of these things and the slight variations in the impact of the macronutrients that just, I mean, the difference of results is so significant. It's amazing. But two of the more impactful certs I've ever had, Precision Nutrition Level 2, which was really great that Equinox paid for that, or at least reimbursed me for it. And so that's helped me a lot with the psychological side of helping people like build better habits and like dive deeper into the root causes of people's issues. And then FRC, because so I had stomach surgery right before lockdown. I've had horrible acid reflux for my entire life, so I was heavily medicated for a huge percentage of my life, to try to keep that at bay. But it was a mechanical problem. Like part of my stomach was above my diaphragm, and the hole in my diaphragm was too big. So it was February 12th, 2020. They played Tetris with my stomach, and they pulled my diaphragm back down below, or excuse me, pulled my stomach back down below my diaphragm, tied it in a knot to create like an esophageal sphincter to actually hold the contents of my stomach in there. And then they sutured my diaphragm back to the size it was supposed to be. So that was intense. Like that recovery was significant, and still I'm still dealing with learning how to have a semi-functional stomach. I mean, what is it, 3 years later? Yeah. So, I mean, I've gone through a ton of information, and so Cooper was actually the one writing my program, my rehab from the surgery, because I'd reached out to him and I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't want to think about it. I'm trying to figure out how to grow this business again. And I just want to know that somebody's taking care of me and is doing the research enough to like help me get back to some semblance of strong again. Because I actually lost after that surgery, because I was on a liquid diet for 6 weeks almost. I was 211 going into that surgery, and I think I got back down to around 180. I looked like I had been shooting up. Like I was that gaunt and skinny, and like my eyes were really sunken. Oh man, I glazed over a bunch of shit too in there. Either way, you guys edit this, right?
Oh no, go straight to production.
It's just one shot, one take,
straight to production.
My insane stream of consciousness. All I need is one mic.
I mean,
how did you so you said that the FRC stuff was pretty influential. How did you come about that wonderful certification? Was it because of your shoulder?
Well, it was actually Cooper who was programming it for me, because I couldn't really lift a ton right after the surgery because of the repair on my diaphragm. So a lot of the first couple weeks of our program were like FRC stuff, and then in some just like gentle building. I did a lot of leg extensions. Like that was where the closest to my max effort work was, probably like 65% effort at that time. But a huge percentage of what we were doing was FRC. And I was like, this is amazing. Like my shoulder feels better, my wrists feel better, my hips feel better. I'm not having as much back pain. Like there was a lot of things that were getting better as a result of it. And I was like, okay, it's time. And this was, again, lockdown had just been like the full lockdown had been lifted. So, but all the certs were still online. So I did FRC, and then like 6 months later did the FRA, all online. And I mean, just dove in headfirst into that system and started using it as much as I possibly could, trying to understand it. But having that base of having a coach who was so good at applying those principles made such a massive difference. Like I felt like I mean, it's funny to think, looking back on those cars and being like, why was that so hard? Like, why was I struggling with that shit so much? And realizing I just control over any of those end ranges. But my right shoulder, it was a combination. So actually I went through a period where I was obsessed with training handstands, like obsessed. I literally trained handstands every single day. And then I documented it on Instagram. So I did handstands every day for a year. And my right shoulder was like, after all the BMX stuff, my right shoulder was so fucked up. Like it hurt every single time I did anything. And of course it didn't help that I was doing max effort muscle ups all the time and back levers and all the crazy, like, so FRC got me back to like a semi-functional shoulder. And then it wasn't until actually I started combining the specificity of N1 with the FRC stuff that my right shoulder has now gotten to a point where like I actually can start, if I really, I mean, I posted something about it the other day, but like actually start training handstands again and not be like terrified that my shoulder's gonna explode. Like this, like adduction and flexion was like instant sharp pain before. And that wasn't even like, there was some crazy shit associated with the surgery too that left with a lot of really weird pain, like referral pain. But now I can actually barbell bench press. But like my big thing at this point, I got to 225 for 3, and I probably could have gotten 5, but I can't. Like that's the other thing, like lingering from this surgery, is bracing hard. I've never been more aware of my diaphragm. Like when I can feel that centralized portion of my diaphragm straining, it feels really weird. And so I like have to be able to breathe at everything I'm doing. Otherwise I start to notice that pain. So long story short, Cooper's the reason.
Cooper is the reason. So after, let's say, Cooper, quote unquote, I guess you did the work to fix your shoulder. How did you start incorporating FRC into what you do and how the way you worked with your clients? Did you just immediately adapt it in, or did you kind of mold it into your system, or how does it fit into what you do, Pat?
So because I got so far into it and started recognizing the massive impact that it was having on the clients that I was working with, like it became a huge percentage of the sessions that we were doing. And Cooper had already shown me how to integrate it into like a strength training session and how to do it in a way that was like safe. And I'm not like compromising the stability of someone's hip or low back by doing some of these pails rails and then going into some of the loaded stuff. So I had a great example of what that looked like. And then I leaned so far into it and realized how big of an impact it was having that I just started becoming known in the gym for that. And so Tier X, that the community at Equinox, was like, we would refer our clients to each other based on specialties. And because I had already gone so far down this rabbit hole, I just started becoming that guy. So like somebody would have joint issues and they'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to have you do a session with Patrick to figure this out. And so then like 85% of what I was doing with any client at that point became joint specific work.
That's a pretty good line. That's a good referral line to have, to
Yeah,
just be doing
like
FRC sessions.
And that became like, that's now a huge percentage of my business is that. Like, I've slowly started just leaning into it, because at first I was like, no, I want to, because I've learned so many other things. And I mean, clearly I'm enjoying reading strengths and practices and reading like the bioforce conditioning stuff. Like, I really enjoy learning about the, like, everything that this industry has to offer. So I kind of was like fighting against it. Like, no, I don't want to niche down, because I don't want to be just known for this thing. But realizing that, like, it is a through point to everything else. Like, if you can help somebody's stuff function better, then you just layer in all the other things that you know on top of it, and they get to say, oh, not only do my joints feel better, I actually am capable of doing whatever it is. So it's kind of now where all of my work starts with new people. And like, people come to me with an injury that they had physical therapy on and just didn't feel like they got back to like full function, which I know Alex looks so surprised at that.
Shocker. I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot.
No, so like that became the thing that I do most, is like helping people get out of their injuries, or like coaches will come to me and be like, hey, can you do an FRA on my client? And then just let me know, like, because they'll have done FRC, maybe they haven't, but it's just like, I'll give them as much as I can possibly give them within their knowledge base, and say, like, these are your big rocks between you and where you want to go. If you can apply these principles and stick to it, this should be better on the other side of it. And I usually, if the coach doesn't know how to do it, then I'm like, hey, you're just going to have to come to me until you feel confident doing this yourself. But then it just becomes like a way to help other coaches serve their people better.
I like how you said you started to incorporate it into your own system. I think that's something that like Alex has done fairly well, just going through this, what, I don't know how many months I've been with you now, but it's just seeing it evolve and how you keep adapting and mold it into the entirety of your system. And it's not just one little thing that people can do. It's like, they don't just come to you to do FRC. Like, you can come to Alex and he's going to give you FRC, but it's a part of a larger system that works together to get even better results than what you could possibly imagine. So,
right.
Shout out,
like
plug for Algol Performance right there, everybody. So,
yeah.
Free training app. Yeah. Download the free training app today. Oh, this is the plug section. Sorry, Pat. We're gonna have to take a 5-minute commercial break. I'm kidding. But like,
thank you to our fake sponsors that don't actually give us anything.
It's just, I just think it's interesting, because it's like I see that same type of stuff out of what he does for me. And like you said, that you've kind of seen the same kind of molding that FRC into what you do is just kind of, it makes the whole thing work better, in my opinion.
Secrets.
It's
I'm not giving
training.
away secrets.
Like,
you did it for free, Alex. It's on the app. It's not free. It's not even a secret anymore. Just go download the Algol Performance Training app today.
But it is a secret. People can't know what works. It's not good for business. What are you talking about?
I guess they can know what the program is.
Gotta be like,
don't know how to apply it.
So precious.
I don't know how to apply it.
Well,
no, just stick to your foam
layers
rollers.
to it.
Just stick to your foam
Stick to
rollers.
your foam rollers. Oh,
How hard
Lord.
is it for you? Probably see people in the gym use foam rollers, and every time I see someone use one, I just want to be like, I need like a nice opening line where I can be like, can you just give me like 10 minutes and I'll make so you don't ever do that again?
Yeah, I honestly, like, this is one thing, and I'm too nice to do this. Like, this is where you ask me, like, have I ever been mean? Not openly, not vocally, but in my head, there's times where I'm just like, or my clients will see my facial expression change, and they'll just be like, yeah, I know, I hear
If
it.
you had to pick
I know exactly
a
what you're
Marvel
saying
villain that you are, Pat, what would be your Marvel villain? Your like alter ego from?
I feel like Deadpool is probably perfect for me, because I know he's not like a villain, but he's such an asshole. But he's also
that's the guy in your head. That's fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's also, if you've ever seen me go full, like, greatest, safest effort on anything in FRC, I genuinely look like as if he'd pulled his mask off.
Yeah.
Like, veins and red face and gnarly everything.
For those of you listening,
Yeah.
Pat is just white as can be in bald. So you can imagine when he has extreme, bracing and effort going through his face. It's like, I don't know, a
My head
tomato.
changes the color of my shirt right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It does almost get purple.
Yeah. No, it really does. And like actually everybody who's like brand new to this and doesn't know how to put effort into it, I'm kind of like, if you're interested, I'll show you what max effort of this stuff really looks like. And they're kind of like, okay, like whatever. And then I do
Well,
it, like say hip internal rotation pails rails, and I go like full greatest safest effort pails, and they're like, oh, that looks really hard. And then I'll of course provide them with some of that input where you're like, oh no, you gotta fight me, like push in, and then they start to notice like that tension building in their body and go, oh, this is a real thing. Like I actually have to be part of this process. I can't just like be in the stretch or trigger point things and make it go away.
I'm going to use that now. I'm going to say, you have to be a part of this process. Pat said so. You can't just sit there and stretch. You have to be a part of this.
You got to be in
process. You got to do it. I think that's
you have to participate.
The hardest part of the whole thing is describing intent.
It is.
Even if you get someone who can do, like, I was teaching my college athlete today speed deadlifts, and it got better towards the end, but at first there was no intent, no speed. I was like, wait, what? No, you got to try to jump off the floor.
Yeah, speed and intent. Like it's like, oh, I moved that pretty fast, didn't I? I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, but like,
no,
not really. Like they're like,
dude,
you think I have more? And I'm like, you need to jump with the bar almost.
That video that is out there of George Halbert doing bench press with the bands and chains is so fucking fast. It's retarded.
I went and watched that when you sent me that.
Did
I was
you?
like, oh my
dude, send it to me. I want to see that.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's like the bar is empty and it's literally got like 275 plus accommodating resistance.
And it's just cruising.
So wild.
For 3 reps. So like his 3 reps are faster than my 1.
Yeah, it's just cruising.
Dude, I remember when Cooper first introduced that to me, and like he had me use a bar speed reader, and I was doing it on everything. Like, I strapped it to a kettlebell and I was trying to like press,
also known as a tendo,
half kneeling. Yeah. And well, no, we had like a real basic one. Like it wasn't actually, It was probably like the Amazon version. Well, but it worked. I mean, but like to try to actually, I had to try to separate load from intent. And that was the hardest part for me. It was like, well, I could probably go heavier and stay at that, like the speed that you wanted me to be. But it was like, I would be just on the threshold of too slow to like try to get it done. And it wasn't until he was like, dude, like Louis says, if you have to be able to get the number of reps done in the time that it would have taken you to do 1 rep at max effort. That was like a quote that I remember from him. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I can try to do this. And so I mean, I went for it to the best of my ability, but I know that I remember listening to what you guys were talking about I want to say it was the last episode, and being like, yeah, I still don't think I ever actually accomplished the dynamic effort method properly.
I don't think that people actually know what those speeds are until they actually see the number correlated to their intent on the bar. Like I used it at OPP when he had his Tendo. And I just used it because I felt like I needed to know, because he was like, and AJ's like, I've been around it for 3 or 4 years. I know what these speeds are. I know how to see it. Louis said the same thing. Like we got rid of the Tendos, but he had them at some point. But when you see it so often, you know the difference between, okay, that's this and that's this. But I didn't, because I'd never seen it. And that was my first exposure to it. So once you finally start to see, okay, this is a 0.6 compared to a 0.8, a 0.8 compared to a 1, like it really changes your perspective on like what dynamic effort is. Have you ever used the Tendo, Alex?
I have not. I was lucky enough to go to a West Side seminar and get to box squat in front of Gus. I was like, is this fast enough? And he's like, yeah, it's fast enough.
That's cool. Yeah.
I thought you were going to be like, absolutely not. Like when Cooper came back from his I mean, this is just going to be the Cooper podcast. This is like,
foreshadowing, which Cooper will be here.
Foreshadowing.
So, thanks, Pat. Good working out. I don't even think you knew that, but
good plug, Pat.
No, I remember you guys were talking about trying to get Cooper on, but that's, absolutely. I mean, that Shit, I lost my train of thought.
Well, you're just fanboying over Cooper here.
Yeah. No, it was that exposure of that level of training and understanding what that felt like. And I just I had never trained it. I mean, literally, like up until that point, I was starting to integrate like dumbbell stuff into it, and I was actually starting to lift legs. The
In
funny
all
thing was I
fairness,
was
Pat,
still,
the person that showed me how to use the bands was Cooper.
yeah.
Uh, but from the beginning, he's like, throw that fucking weight off your back. I'm like, all right, well, I
Oh,
guess we're just moving as fast as we can.
no, I
I
remember
always
it
just
now.
tell everybody to move faster. Like, there is no such thing as too fast.
No.
I guess
I
they're
just remember
sloppy. You
when,
don't want to be
like,
sloppy, but you
yeah,
shouldn't. There is no moving the weight too fast.
yeah. No, and I think that was I slowly started to accomplish that, but I just remember when Cooper came back from his internship, and he was just like, dude, Louis just destroyed me. Like every single thing he was like, no, that's shit. Your hamstrings suck. Come back when you can pull over 400. Like, oh, that's cute. Like, I can't believe you actually like, oh, that's such a sweet little deadlift, but in the most Louis way possible. Like,
Yeah, I
totally
think Louis
emasculating
created a
him.
monster for sure.
Oh my
Oh
God, for
my
sure.
God, yeah.
He was like 160 pounds when he started at Equinox. He was like, I remember when he did his first powerlifting tournament, it was like, or powerlifting, okay, like I think he pulled 365 on his deadlift that day, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm relatively happy with that at 160. And then we had been chatting probably like, I want to say it was 6-8 months ago. He's walking around at 220, and I was like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, just to know the scrawny little kid that came in and like he was wearing a women's floor trainer shirt because it fit him better. Like,
Wow.
the sleeves were shorter, it fit him better, and now to like look at this behemoth with his insane sebum like mullet, it's just wild, man.
Mm.
But no, I mean, I at that point, I was for a long time, I was just obsessed with getting as lean as physically possible. Like I was on the in body like twice a week, trying to like get as like I think I got to around 6%, but I didn't have any muscle to like really speak of at that point because I had come from that 179 like, heroin chic. Um so like it wasn't like when I started doing the conjugate stuff, I started getting a little bit more muscle, and I look at that picture and I'm like, oh, okay, like that dude got relatively ripped at that point. But so much of my whole fitness journey was like, I need to be lean. I need to be as lean as physically possible. I'll finally look like that guy. And then I told Alex, I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna do like a real bulk, because this surgery it's so fucking crazy, man. Like I can't eat in a genuine deficit of more than around 150, 250 calories.
Hmm.
Otherwise, my stomach bloats so bad, I look like I'm pregnant. And then it hits a nerve right around my diaphragm, and it feels like somebody's trying to separate my shoulder with an ice pick. Like, it is one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever experienced in my life. And so like GasX is a really good friend of mine, and I'm just amazed that my wife is still married to me at this point, because it's awful. So like when I was like, okay, I'm going to do this bulk, I'm going to see what happens. I went from 208 to 225 over like 8 months, and Alex gave me the macros to get me started. And when I was like, you want me to eat 330 grams of protein? Like, you're fucking nuts. Like, that's not going to happen. But I was like struggling to get to 200 grams of protein at that point. And so I just started just downing protein as much as I possibly could. And now I'm like, okay, if I don't hit 300 grams of protein, it's not a good day. Like,
Wow.
that's one of the best things that I figured out for my stomach has been just eating gratuitous amounts of protein, because I still
Nice.
get reflux. Like my esophagus still doesn't work that well, which is a really strange thing to feel things get stuck on their way down. But if I'm eating protein, then I don't bloat. Like, so I'm just like, every single time I go to eat anything, it's like, it's probably chicken. It's probably like the top round. And if you've never done a top round in a crock pot, it is awesome. Because it's so much easier to eat an obscene amount of, I mean, and if you grill top round, even if you cook it right, it's still hard to chew a pound of top round.
Fair assessment.
That's pretty
So
fair. Yeah.
the crock pot is like literally crock pot, tomato sauce, peppers, onions, and some seasoning. I love to cook. And that's the other side of it, is I really actually during lockdown got to the point where I really like to bake, which I know I didn't get to bake for you last time you were in town, Alex, but next time.
Fuck.
Oh,
Right.
you're gonna make the fat kid inside him scream like a little boy.
Dude, the fat kid inside me is just dying at the moment. So
Oh
Dude,
no,
but
I forgot.
when Noor and Grace came into town, I made this insane meringue, like cashew meringue cake with like French buttercream. So the layers of the cake are cashew meringue, and it's French buttercream layered with cashews all up in it. And it was like this big, and just, I mean, I think there was probably 1.5 kilos of sugar in that recipe. Like you
types
eat
of
it, you
kilos I like.
dude, this was like pre-workout level. You eat a slice that's about this big and
No.
you feel your heart rate go up.
That is not how we do it.
Just eat the whole thing. Alex would just put his
Pies
face
are meant
in
to
it.
be eaten in quarters. First of all, like let's just be real.
Well,
God.
next
if
time you're in
if
town,
you're
I
making more
will.
than 2 cuts on a pie or a cheesecake, like who are you trying to fool?
Your inner demons
The
is
coolest
who
part
you're
about-
trying to fool.
Like what? Like that's not happening. Just I'm just gonna get 2 of these. Just take the quarter. You're gonna
Yeah.
eat the quarter.
A cheesecake for me, that's the one, man. Cheesecake.
Dude,
Yeah,
when
cheesecake
when
is
I got to
bomb.
eat 350 grams of carbs a day, I was like, oh shit. Like it's the Great British Bake Off in my house. Like I'm literally gonna make the most amazing things I could possibly. I mean, like I made for my son's birthday, I made a lemon poppy seed cake with homemade blueberry jam and vanilla almond buttercream, I think. It was unbelievable. It was so ridiculously good. And I'm just like, sweet, this still is in, like, I'm logging this giant slice of cake as I'm trying to like fit it into chronometer.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
the
like,
best hack
sweet,
ever,
I
right?
still
If
have
it
like
fits your
150
macros.
grams of carbs to go.
Hell yeah. Stop dancing around this stuff, people. Come on now. Just eat.
Dude, eat.
Eat.
And like
This
the difference,
this has been
it's
like the
so
most
good.
nutrition positive podcast ever. Pat's over here talking about he can't get enough protein, can't get enough carbohydrates, just feeling great.
I had a client that she's just started with me. She's been with me for about I think a month, and she's getting the diet stuff finally kind of logged in and kind of getting it right. And she was shocked, obviously, by the amount of food she was eating and the protein. And she texted me today, and she was like, should I wake up hungry and feeling empty and like ready to eat? And I'm like, yes, because your body is actually using what you're giving it. So it's going to the places that it needs to go. So you should absolutely wake up hungry. I said, are you like waking up lethargic or tired? She's like, no, I'm actually waking up with more energy. And I'm like, all right, here we go. We got this. Now we're going the right direction. I'm like, you're feeding your body adequately. So here we go. So it's really, it's cool to see that stuff.
Close.
It's so amazing. Like I was working with these student athletes. I had some help with another coach where we were coaching a high school rowing team, and I'd say disordered eating was pretty prevalent in this high school. So we had to like very gradually start introducing like some of these more performance nutrition concepts and recognizing like the impact that they had. Like I had one girl who we started in the off season, like after our first season, and she finished probably 15 pounds heavier in the off season, but she was a monster. We dropped 9 seconds off her 2K within the first month. And she was like probably 3 seconds away by the end of the summer of getting the threshold that she needed to get recruited. And it ended up happening, and she got recruited to the school she wanted to. But nobody recognized her when she got back because she had been working out on her own all summer and actually like eating enough and sending me her food logs and doing like the thing we ended up, the verbiage that worked for that group was like, listen, your needs need to be met. And if you want your weight to go down, your needs need to be met minus a tiny bit. And if you want your weight to go up, your needs need to be met plus a tiny bit. Like, and that's it. If you find yourself making it through your sessions, or in this case, these 2.5 hour practices of really high intensity cardio with some lifting that we were doing, if you can make it through that, you can make it through your school day and still have like energy to get your homework done, not feel completely destroyed by the end of the day, that you've eaten enough. Like that's awesome. But to recognize that and actually have them reflect on it and go, no, I actually do feel so much better. Like it took almost a season and a half, and that's almost a year-round sport.
That's pretty sick. I like hearing that stuff. It makes me happy. Good stuff.
Dude, I mean, like we in that one, the first season we sent almost 3 times as many boats to nationals than they had in the previous 2 seasons. And then on the last season that we were involved with them, they got their boys varsity got to third in the nation, which is their fastest finish they've ever had. And that was the team that we saw more than anybody else. These guys were lifting regularly 2 to 3 times a week. And then some of them were even going to the gym during school because if they were going to be out on the water, they might not get to lift that day. But they were all doing their cars. They were actually like leading their team in doing the things that we had taught them to do. And I mean, that boat they were finally catching up to their rivals who were, I mean, just dominating them year after year before.
That's just a strange coincidence, I think, Pat.
Yeah, there's no, we definitely did not have an impact on them at all.
No, not at all. No.
And this was the shirt that I made for them. Little crossed oars.
Which you can probably get on Pat's website. Right, Pat? Do you have a website?
I do. You actually can purchase this and many other t-shirts on chironahp.com/shop. CHIRON. The amount of times I've had to pronounce my business name is significant.
Like your last name? Is it like there's a theme in your life of pronouncing things?
Yeah.
Just
literally somebody asked me, they called me and they're like, I'm looking for Mr. Hageman. And I'm like,
Hagermelon.
Hageman.
Nellen. Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm like, dude, how many syllables? Like, were you looking at something with my name written and then just like started with the first 3 letters and then just kind of went off on a journey?
What are we doing? I didn't get that far off. I wasn't that far off. Wow.
No, but I got some good solid branding advice. Like, don't mess with your name. Like, you can play with how people are joking about pronouncing it and stuff, but like, because I was going to do a shirt that had all the different pronunciations of the way that people had come up with, because it's Chicago and everybody says Chi-Town, so Chiron. I got Chiron.
Be fair, isn't it a Greek fucking thing? Like, I don't know how many people are Greek.
That's true. And like, I mean, I was really into Greek mythology growing up because it was basically the equivalent of superheroes that they taught at school. So,
right. I mean, as far as believing stuff goes, it's pretty sweet.
Like, I mean, how awesome is it that there's just like these friggin' gods of whatever, like jack dudes destroying things and warrior women, and I mean, it was cool. Chaos. It was literally like, it was, I mean, I have a massive Wolverine and Spider-Man tattoo here.
Sometimes
like,
I feel like
superheroes forever. I could see that.
I think that's how I like came to like fall. I kind of like, it's like a trickling down effect, because so I worked at OPP and then AJ referred me to Kyler, and then Kyler, I think I found Cooper's page through Kyler, and then I think I found Alex's page through Kyler, and then I think I saw Grace's page, and then I saw Pat's page, because I'm pretty sure like the first time I saw your page was you doing the Wolverine pose with the artwork on your arm. I'm pretty sure I saw that picture. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll give that guy a follow. And then it turned out I was like, oh, this guy's a really good coach, obviously. And then it was like a pipeline. I was like, oh, well, he's connected to these guys too. So I'm slowly like, I've built this little web of people that I'm like, I don't really know any of you people, but like I feel like I know you because you're all intertwined and connected. So it's a pretty good little group.
Yeah. No, dude, it's such a cool little like that's one of the things that I think is one of the coolest things that came out of that Delta 5 intensive, was just having this small, tight community of being able to just like shoot the shit with people, feel like you know them. Like the fact that Alex flew across the country to like hang out with me and Grace, like that was so sick. Like I can't wait to go to Colorado again to hang out with him and hang out with Cooper again, and then go to Minnesota. Like just, I mean, Noor literally flew from Philadelphia to meet Grace and I, and we had never actually spoken in person.
Nice.
And we spent a weekend of just like dorking out about every single bit of coaching that we had, like anything that the other person hadn't done. We were like, oh, we should try this protocol so you can see what this feels like. Like I took them through the spring ankle. Do you guys know the spring ankle complex with like the Cal Dietz approach to like strengthening foot, ankle, knee, hip?
I've seen it. Yes.
It's like, I mean, you build up to max effort positional specific isometrics throughout the like sprint gait cycle. And so you just expose the most compromised positions of the sprint gait cycle to as much force as you possibly can, try to build up to a threshold of a minute in each spot. And ideally you can get somebody up to like 4 times their body weight. So it's approximately the equivalent of how much force they would experience in a full out sprint. So I had them go through the different positions, and then we were doing sprints up and down the gym, the turf at Transform. And they were just like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing. And we're like racing as fast as we can, just being dorks about this stuff because it's so much fun.
That's a book I need to get back into and read, the triphasic thing. I think I was kind of reading it, but I was like haphazardly reading it, I think. And I need to go back and like actually dive into that one and read it a little bit closer.
No, it's cool. And that's the way, like, of course I've had, Cooper's helped me a ton. And it's not to say that I copy everything from Cooper, but I've a lot I've learned because he was able to say like, no, this is where this shit fits. And I'm like, I never knew where to put all of those things because so much of this I've learned on my own. And like the engineer brain really likes a good system. So once I started figuring out how to piece these things together and like make the puzzle pieces fit, then it was like, okay, this is amazing. So like the way I program because most of my clients are Gen Pop who just want to be able to do cool things with their bodies. And like, so the way I cycle things, I go through, it's essentially a triphasic, whatever phase we're in, it's always eccentric, isometric, concentric, with whatever the overriding goal of that cycle is. So like even right now for myself, I am doing a shortened rest period, eccentric focus for the next 3 weeks, just trying to like, I'm trying to drop back down below 220 again, just so I have some room to bulk again and have fun with that. I will say Alex inspired some of the timing of the sessions because I was sitting there like, okay, I can't make it through an hour of this. Like you're like, oh yeah, your liver is just screaming. I think it was the podcast with who was it? Like 3 episodes, Valerie?
Possibly.
Could be.
But it was like I literally felt like my arms wanted to throw up the other day. I was like,
I watched
this is
Cooper
the most
almost make
insane
himself throw
sensation.
up by doing arms. That's pretty fascinating.
Dude, I
didn't even know that was possible.
I was doing a mechanical drop set of like the overhead cable tricep extensions. So I went like full like lengthened and then just tried to like get to mid position. Like I didn't even make it to shortened position. I was like, I genuinely feel like my arms are gonna throw up. Like I didn't think that was physiologically possible, but that's what my arms felt nauseous.
Nice. Good job, Pat.
But it was fun. But like I cut those sessions at like 45 minutes, including the FRC stuff, because I learned what systemic fatigue was when Alex was like, dude, try this superset. And I was like, why do I feel like I want to go home as soon as I finish the second set? And he goes, because you went too heavy. And I was like, oh, okay. Like my system had just completely shut down after 2 sets of, it was a sternal dumbbell bench press and a quad focus Bulgarian. And I was like, I want to die.
Yeah, everyone always overshoots it. They always overshoot it. I'm like, because I've just learned to like let them go, like because everyone's always like, there's got to be a lot of weight on the bar, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Are you gonna match the tempo, right? And they're like, yeah, no big deal. I'll match this tempo. I'm like, okay, have fun. And they're like, wait, do you think this is? And I'm like, no, just have fun. And then like the first set, they're done and they're just dying and they're stripping weight off the bar as fast as they possibly can. And I'm like, maybe start with the bar and then just kind of go from there. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes a little more sense. I'm like, yeah, your system's not ready to handle, nor should it have to handle that. Like it doesn't need to get the effect that we need. but
Right. Like
good try.
to be specific about the actual outcome that you're looking for. You don't have to like, I mean, this is I think the hardest thing with Gen Pop is getting them out of the like Orange Theory F45 mindset, and like they don't have to crush themselves to get to the end of this. Like
Yeah,
it, all you have to be is specific and smart about it.
that's
And
a
when you
I don't
very
know. I feel like the second phase in my fucking app, you do that for 4 weeks, you're not gonna want to do that anymore.
well,
It's
and that's the other thing is
12
they
different
think
times
that
you
they're
get to
working so
experience that
hard.
nauseous feeling if you
yeah,
fuck
yeah.
up. So
Yeah. I think it's more of like, though, that like people come in with that mindset of like they have to do everything all out all the time. And you don't have to. There's a better way to do this stuff, guys. Like, you don't shout out to like Alex, Pat, any other really good trainers that we've had on here. Like, I think you all and everyone does a really good job of like showing people, hey, there's a better way to do this stuff than just going to the gym and banging your head against the wall for an hour and being miserable the next day because you're so sore you can't move, or you want to throw up, or you go run on the treadmill for 45 minutes, or like whatever it is you do. It's like there's systems and sequences to this that everyone who's a good coach understands and can like show you the way. Like, stop banging your head against the wall. You don't have to do more. You just have to do better.
When
I would like to add a disclaimer to that I overdo it though, because like my legs are fucked today from yesterday. So
well, I mean,
I'm not
like
two exercises.
We always try a little too hard on our end so that you don't have to. You learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, that's what we tell ourselves. We're doing it for the righteous reasons. No, I'm a fucking idiot. No, I know. I'm fucking stupid, and I just, you know what? This sounds good. Let's try it.
Currently going through my back crap right now that I screwed up because of my so, which actually feels really good today. So
that's good.
Only 3 weeks on the mend, and you're almost back to normal. So anyone who's got, nagging back injuries for years, I can fix that shit.
Just take a minute or a month or two.
A month is like a godsend for these people that have been dealing with it for decades.
I told
people would kill to be done with it in a month.
I told an intern today because I was working some lower back stuff with a client, and I was like, if you have a client that has been complaining about back pain for a long time or any kind of joint pain, and you put them through impales, rails, and variation, there's not some kind of instant relief, then you didn't do the pails and rails correctly, probably, because they should probably have some kind of instant satisfaction out of that pails and rails. So,
well, I mean, there is a 2-minute stretch involved, so you get something at least, I would hope.
Yeah, some sort of relax. But like that's the coolest thing about this system. And once you learn it and understand it, it's like, oh shit, something went wrong. Okay, I know what to do
to fix it. Yep.
Go to cars. Start doing your cars and figure out what you can do.
I don't think that's a byproduct of the system, Pat. But yes, I agree with you.
No, but like
you can utilize it very well.
And yeah, it's the byproduct of like what I'm saying is they took it and systematized it and made it make sense in the context of what we're trying to do, and now we follow at least some variation of that with the nuances of the way that you're like the lenses that you've learned, but like you apply force to that joint and their central nervous system goes, oh, okay, never mind, I'm not pissed off anymore, like right. I'm good.
Well, okay, so in the Zoom chat you were in with the other 120 people, how many of them you think have that understanding or even used it?
No, I mean, honestly, like I've opened myself up to, and I'll put this out here again, just in case anybody listens to it, any new FRC people in Chicago who are curious about how to apply the system and don't know how to do it, like all you have to do is DM me. I will happily teach you how to figure this out and how to fit it into your program, because you don't have one of the worst things you can do is learn this system and never touch it. Like it's so the principles are so good that once you learn how to apply,
I try to give it away to people and they don't want to stick to the commitment of 1 hour a week. I'm like, give me 12 weeks of 1 hour a week and I will fucking change your body. And they're like, and give me every excuse.
Just 1 hour a week. That's literally
1 hour. That's the only thing. That's the minimum effective dose that I know will do something.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you can make so much progress. And on if you hit each joint, you spend 5 minutes on each joint. Like you could get through so much stuff and change the way somebody's body feels
instantly.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously you hit a point of CNS
I have it down
fatigue,
to 13 days. I have 13 different workouts and it goes through every single part of the body in some form or fashion. But it's broken. So twice a month is like my minimum. requirement. I feel like that's what I do, anyways.
That's oh yeah. I know now.
You're
I
saying
think
hit each joint twice a month? Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
So, Pat, I'm obsessed with minimum effective dose, right? I'm not going to be the
Yeah, yeah.
person that over obsesses on one thing or the other because there's one weak link. Like, we can kind of do that, but you're just going to cause more obscurity. So we have
Right.
to find homeostasis and like evenness in some form. So, yeah, I made like, what is it? How many days do you have, Nathan? I think yours is 12, right? So it's
Usually
13 or
12.
14.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like 13 or 14 days where you just do some form of FRC that takes like, I don't know, 20 minutes.
If that, yeah. It's usually 2 to 3 variations based on the usually
Right, which are from 15 to 20 minutes of your whopping day to
I've
do
like
joint work.
I figured it out. Like I know when they're coming back in.
Oh, you figured it out finally?
Well, no, I mean I knew it. I'm just saying like it's like yeah, it's good. It's a system because it's like okay, I know. Okay, here this comes back in, and I don't
Here's
have
a
to.
better question: how's your body feel outside of your hiccup?
Fine. I don't have any issues. I don't have any problems. Like we've talked about this and gone over this and done this dancing show about 100 times, Alex. Like if people
they don't believe me.
Well, they don't believe me. Well, the clients I have believe me because I had one tell me today. They're like, "Hey, we're just gonna stop going to the chiropractor, and then when our stuff hurts, we're gonna come to you for extra sessions." And I'm like, "Yes, there we go. That's what it's about, right there. Stop spending your extra money and hard-earned money on things that you don't need, and come to me, and I'll fix it."
Fair. Physical therapists and chiropractors do take insurance, and that is what a lot of people get suckered into.
Correct.
They don't understand the system.
There's still some cash you usually have to pay.
My rule of thumb has always been, if you're going to any of those people that are worth their value, they don't take insurance. So
yep, that's
true. Like there's one chiropractor that I regularly refer to, and I think there's one insurance that he takes, but even then, it's not like I don't ever see him like punching in diagnosis codes. I mean, maybe I'm giving it away, but he like the times that I've had people with him, I go to the sessions with them and I sit down and I'm like, I'm not charging you for this. I will go with you so that we can both better understand what this issue is. This person is an expert on this thing. Like, I want to know how this works in our program. I want to be able to speak the exact same way that he's speaking to you about it. And I sit there and watch him assess somebody for 45 minutes of an hour session and then start working on like, okay, we're doing breath work and then we're going to be doing some pale specific inputs. And then it's like, he may do an adjustment. He might, but more often than not, it's just like, these are the tools that this person's going to need. And it's never a, hey, crack, I'll see you again in like a week, or I'll see you again twice for the next 18 weeks. It's like, I don't want to ever see you again for this problem.
Yeah. Shout out Dr. Johnson in town. I would just like to give him a shout out because he took some of my business cards and then had people go there. And then was like, he refers out. So he's like, hey, this is not like, I think you'll be really honest and say like, hey, these aren't permanent fixes. Like, we don't want to see you keep coming back to my office for this. But like, this guy is doing this thing over here at this gym. Go see him because I think he could be preventative care for you. Yeah, like he could be preventative for you. So like, I really appreciate that on his end. Like, hey, I'm going to say like, if you're to the point to where your pain is insufferable, I guess like, yeah, go see Dr. Johnson, sure, but he's going to send you right back to me to like, hey, how can we work towards not letting this happen again? It's such a huge piece that people miss. Is like chiropractic work is only a Band-Aid.
When it's fixed, it's not just fixed?
No, you have to continue strengthening it.
Totally.
What do you mean you have to continue strengthening?
This is a never-ending process. This is a lovely journey.
I am strong. I move around all the time. Does that make me strong?
You can move all you want. It doesn't mean it's efficient or right.
Fighting gravity all the time isn't enough strength?
For some people, they don't have it adequate enough to fight gravity every day.
Adequate enough what to fight gravity every day? Strength? They don't even move? Some people don't move?
Some people don't.
I mean, I'm sure there are definitely people
70%, Alex. We talked about this. 70%
I don't think that there's plenty of people I've seen that move all kinds that are overweight and obese.
I don't call that moving.
There's a deeper issue.
It's not moving.
Food they eat.
They waddle.
Poison they put in their body.
They're waddling.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you can knock that number down to like 10% just by changing the diet.
Yeah, I would probably say that's very true.
Because if it was effort, here's a simple one. If it was as easy as just trying hard, every fucking addict that goes to every Globo gym in this country would be the most jacked human beings in the world.
Yeah.
and not a single one of them is. Like, just doesn't work that way.
Gotta try. You gotta put some effort forth and some like dedicated process here.
Well, you got to do so many things. It's mind-boggling if you actually think about it.
Well, and dude, that's why we have jobs, right? That's why our job is in
Oh, it
demand,
is?
and that's why we get to do what we do, because
Well,
we
I'm just
can
Dr.
we
Phil.
can be the person who goes. I mean, this is me. Like, you know me well enough to know by now. Like, the reason I do this is because I really genuinely like helping people. I like when people can do the things that they want to do.
That doesn't
like, I just,
exist, Pat.
I absolutely fucking hate it, to be honest. I hate
that
helping people.
doesn't
That's so stupid.
exist, Pat. You're a liar. We don't do that.
that's no. I mean, like,
We're just here to grab your
it-
money.
so many people, like, dude, I heard it was a NASM or one of those certifications ad the other day being like, do you want to get paid to work out? Do you like to exercise? Do you want to set your own hours and work whenever you want and make lots and lots of money guaranteed? I was like, dude, none of that is real.
None of it's true.
None of that is real about being a trainer. Other than, like, yeah, we are sadists who chose spandex instead of leather. But, like,
To be fair, I get paid to work out. How else would you guys know what to do if I didn't do it?
True. But
I mean,
that's
I guess
you
that's
working
that is
out
a-
for.
that's
But that's how I get paid.
self-experimentation.
Yeah, you get
I mean,
paid
that's
because
true.
people are freaks and they want to try your freaky stuff, you freak.
I don't know about that. I think they just, tired of not getting results, because
Yeah.
I wonder what percentage of people try to get results and just don't at all.
I would say it's
Gotta
a
be like
large
80%,
percentage.
like-
Yeah. I think it's a large
Based on the
percent.
80-20 rule.
Just because like you see the whole like gym wave every January, like those people are, if you want to call them, they're trying. Like they made it to the gym, I guess you could say.
Are they trying though?
They're
Are they?
trying.
What is your definition of trying? Showing up to a gym is trying. So Planet Fitness, I go show up to Planet Fitness, get my pizza on Monday, maybe look at the equipment.
But that's what I'm like.
Head
They're
back out the door.
trying, but they're not like dedicating themselves to it
eat
because
my
they're
$10 worth of pizza and roll
they're
out.
not going to get the results. So then they have to have you, and that's like, or
You don't
me.
have to have me.
Well, they do if they want to get
could-
results.
You guys have sat here and learned all the same stuff I have. How's it going for you?
I'm still learning. I don't know what you're talking about. We're not done.
Yeah.
No,
Look at Pat
but,
over
like-
here has learned so many things. He's probably
Like a
learned
beefcake
and
over here.
forgotten more than I've even learned in the first place.
Dude, every once in a while somebody says something and I'm like, oh shit, I've done quantum mechanics courses. Like, I've legitimately passed tests in quantum theory, and I look
This
back and I
guy's
go,
forgotten more than
I
I'll
don't-
ever learn.
I-
And he thinks I'm the smart one. Like,
I mean, you are you're an unbelievably smart human
Nah,
being.
don't
don't
know
try to
about
tell him
that.
it's smart. That's a waste of your time and energy.
it is a waste of everyone's
He'll
time.
swat that out like a bad fly.
'Cause it's
like,
fucking bullshit.
shut
Get out of here
up.
with that nonsense.
shut
No,
up.
I just
Cooper-
learned from
Cooper
people who
says
are
the
way
same
smarter than
thing.
me.
Yeah, but that makes.
Cooper says the same thing.
I think you're
He
highly
says, I don't know
intelligent.
shit about fuck or fuck about shit. Like, that is a
Just-
direct Cooper
I get
quote.
to
Like,
learn from the best people because that's what I seek out.
But there's all this information out there, and you're taking it and actually applying it. Whereas like everyone else has the same opportunities to do the same type of application that you do, and they're not doing it. So you're apparently a little bit higher on the rung status of
made
evolution
even
than they
easier
are.
for everyone else by downloading the Apple Performance app.
Sick plug, bro. Sick plug.
that was solid. Well done.
We're getting
Well
better
done.
at these little smooth plug transitions here. But no, I'm just saying, like, I think it doesn't. Okay, this is going to be a bold statement, maybe. It doesn't take a lot to be highly intelligent in the world that we live in today. It just takes some common sense, because you have all of the knowledge that you could possibly ever need right here in your hands. And, like, I don't think that people apply it correctly.
But dude,
That
I mean,
you gotta
honestly, like,
decipher it.
it takes a lot of effort to know what questions to ask.
There's your key, though. Effort. You got to actually apply
It
some
takes-
effort.
You do. But like, that's my thing, is like, I could sit there, like, there's times where I'm like, okay, there's this one concept that I really need to learn. I just like talk marketing, right? This is something that I've always struggled with, because all I want to do is train people. Like, I don't want to sit there and think about how to get in front of people. I just want to train people. And so it takes so much effort for me to just go, okay, what is this stupid thing that I'm not doing? Like, how do I go through it? Like, and I started going through these processes of watching all these different videos. And finally something was like, oh, okay, this is the question you need to ask. And then I started playing with Bard, the Google AI, to start developing like a marketing plan off of it. And then I ended up hiring a coach, because honestly, it makes your life easier.
Oh,
That's
you
why
mean
How's that
we, I
going,
mean,
by the way?
you mean coaches can coach coaches?
coaches
And,
coach coaches.
how's the marketing coaching going?
Honestly, I feel more confident in the things that I'm doing and like getting my message out there. Um,
'Cause, like
it
I
just
did those
takes
story
time.
trains because I paid for that
Yeah.
little seminar thing. I did that shit for like 8 weeks straight. No luck.
The
That's
story
why I just do them
trains, like
sparingly
the
now.
things
I
that
still
you
do
guys
them.
do, the little like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
what they wear, and then this is this.
Mhm.
I don't do them as frequently because I was like, this is a really, really low ROI.
No, honestly, so there was a bunch of other skills that we're in the process of learning throughout the rest of the mentorship and coaching and stuff that is like being more specific about who you're bringing into like cold outreach is a way of bringing people into your world. And so you can pre-qualify these leads with that ideal client avatar that you're looking for. And then you go through and actually like find pages that speak to those people regularly, even if it has nothing to do with training. And then you can start finding people who actually like the things that you like and connect with them that way.
Doing that for years.
Hey man, and
Quick
there's a reason that you
shadow
can charge
bans.
what you
I
That's your
paid
charge.
problem.
$6,000 for a business coach in the beginning, so I
Shadow
understand.
band. Shadow band.
Yeah, I get so fucked on that. That is a lot of my issue. I went from so much reach to nothing. Like when I
I
was in
mean,
Chicago, Pat, I was reaching like 50,000 people. Now I reach like 7.
maybe don't be an asshole.
Then I can't be my true self, and then nobody's
Boom!
gonna
I mean,
buy
that-
that.
Mic drop,
That's true.
Pat. Episode over. Get out of here. He dropped the mic on. Oh, I love that. That was
Good clip.
that's a clip right there, brother.
No, honestly, like you've that's so funny because you do persona a hard ass dude, but like literally every conversation I've had with you has been like your own version of emotional intelligence. Like I know how to filter the information that you're giving me, even if you are being kind of an asshole in the way that you present it. I'm like, this is the way that Alex shows that he cares about me actually being successful with this thing. So I always like I have that lens to be able to say like, oh yeah, I know why he's like, even if you were gruff about the way that you said it, I know
Rough.
what you're
That's a good
intending to
word.
do.
Look at you. So
No, it's-
sophisticated
that's-
with you middle
Don't
Midwest people.
sugarcoat that one. He's just an asshole. Go back to him being. He's just an asshole. Don't sugarcoat it.
No, see,
Pat.
you know what though? It's
All of
gonna
them.
ruin my. It's gonna if that's the clip, then it's gonna ruin my whole Ned Flanders image. Like I am the bald Ned Flanders of the fitness industry.
Ned
I am that nice of a
Flanders.
guy.
You better put that in the
What?
title, Nathan.
Today's
The
episode.
bald Ned
We
Flanders. of
speak with
fitness
the bald.
industry.
That's absolutely going in the title. The bald Ned Flanders of strength and conditioning. Yes, that's
And
fantastic.
like, I would love to work with more athletes. I'd love to work with like people who.
I don't think you
just
want to
wanna
work with
people-
athletes. They're not that cool.
I want to work with people who are stoked and like
Yeah,
who
people
actually
who wanna
want
work harder.
things
People
like,
that want to work hard. Yep.
people who want to work hard and people who have a reason to work hard. Like there's like whether it's your kids,
Pat,
or your
everyone has a
family, or,
reason to
like,
work hard. Like that's
They
the bullshit
do.
part is everybody does, and 90% of the population just cops it out and goes, but I don't wanna. It's really hard. It's uncomfortable or blah blah blah. Basically, I hate myself so much. I'd rather just autopilot myself into the grave.
I mean, dude, it took me, my wife being like the nicest person in the world, being like, hey, I just want you to try it. And like now, 10 years later, like I
You're
am
that
a
person for
complete-
everyone
I'm
else.
a completely
You're
different
that
human
guy.
being. And I get to be that guy
I
for
just
other
want you
people.
to try
and,
it
like,
just one time.
try it. Just try it.
He sounds like Tiana. Like Tiana is like nicely coaxing people into what she wants them to do, and like Pat's taking
Yeah,
hold
you know
of
how
that.
you nicely coach people? You just ask them questions. The more you ask them questions, the more they think you care, the more they have to think of it on their own, and it sticks.
But the difference is
Because I
you
can
do
shout
care.
from the top of a mountain,
You
and none of you
actually
fucking
care.
assholes listen at all. But I don't do that anymore. I
Whether
just ask
you
questions.
actually will outwardly say it or not, you actually do care.
It depends how much you pay me.
yes. There it is. I love this guy so much. God, I love that you don't hide behind a false facade. That makes everyone's always like, why do you put up with that guy? Why do you do this with that guy? Why do you like, why are you so this? I'm like, he is honest and he doesn't hide behind who he is, and I
mean,
appreciate that.
It's not entirely true, but this is the thing with people who squawk at prices is like, you want us to be interested in helping you. Well, we don't know anything about you.
Correct.
So this is a common language we all speak. The more you pay, the harder you're going to try. The more I'm going to work hard. It's all going to work better. And the more creative I usually get, the more you pay me.
Yeah.
I'll get all kinds of crazy ideas to make sure you accomplish that goal.
I work with a
People
woman.
don't understand. They're like, well, like, give me an excuse. Oh, I can't go shopping for this. Oh, bitch. Well, we have Instacart. I'll have it delivered to your house. You give me your address. I will order it and send it to you.
Yeah.
Depending on, like, if you're like the prices
You're serious
that I charge,
about it. Yeah.
I have no problem with that. That's easy.
I had a
Yeah.
because I had a woman that works one-on-one with me, and she was like, I'm really interested in my husband like doing kind of some of the similar stuff because he's a farmer and he's aches and pains and hurts. And I'm like, yeah, well, okay, that's totally fine. And I definitely want to help him if it's the right fit. Like, I'm like, this is not, I want to help people, but there's a reason why I have the prices that I do. And there's a reason that I have the application process that I do. It's like, this has to be a cohesive relationship or neither one of us are going to want to try or get anything out of this because it has to be a mutual beneficial thing. But
I'm
that's hard for people to
with you,
understand.
No, that's and I get a lot of like, people don't actually believe that I'm as nice as I am. People think I'm like some, like I'm gonna be an asshole at some point in their lives. And that's just not. I fought that for a long time because, dude, I got that feedback when I was at Equinox was just like, you're really excited about this stuff and you're gonna have to dial it back because you're gonna be too much for people. And I'm like,
don't love what you do.
Yeah,
don't love what you
every
do.
single
Don't
day.
be so enthusiastic.
Bring that mechanical engineering energy in here, please.
I took a sip of caffeine today and like was just so pumped. I love my 6 a.m. group, so shout out 6 a.m. group if you guys are here because you're an awesome training group. But like, I just love them because they're ready to go, they're prepared, they're excited to train, and like it just instantly like, yes, this is why I do what I do, and I'm just yelling and screaming in my gym like a freaking maniac. And they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just genuinely pumped because you people are here and we're gonna get after it today, and I know you're gonna get after it because you're great clients." So. Shout out 6 a.m.
I'm a real asshole. I have this old group of guys that always show up and always work hard, and I'm just pissed off because they don't read the fucking details.
Who's that? What guy was that? I read the details
all the time. It's the same details.
I read the details.
I'm talking about some people that don't give the respect to cars that they should.
I do that.
I will routinely remind them. I go, you guys are the slowest people to learn this stuff that I have. It's literally like if I can get this 3 group of gentlemen that are all over the age of 50 to do any of the things and get an adaptation from them, I can do it with anybody. Like, they don't eat enough, they don't sleep enough, they don't not stress about anything. They are the most like, I'm going to work my ass off and just take it out in the gym type of people. And they get stronger.
I'm sorry to say, I do have to run. I got a 3:00 call.
Okay. Killing me, Pat. You're killing me. No, that's great.
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding.
This has been fun, and
we'll finish it off. Don't worry. We'll make it worth watching. I genuinely
do like your podcast. So like,
thanks. Next time you can come on and talk more training.
Yeah. No, I'm totally down.
Now have the 2-hour backstory.
Dude, I mean, I could talk for like. You mean you told me?
I'm fucking with you, Pat. It's a joke.
So good. Kidding. No, thank you, Pat.
You did great. You can come back sometime.
I appreciate it.
You've earned an invitation back.
Sweet. Appreciate that.
Whenever we get to round 2 of the episodes, because every single person we've had on here has probably not had enough time.
Fahey.
Well,
I
wouldn't have taken the 3:00 call, but
whatever. Just get off our podcast.
All right.
See you, Pat.
Thank you again.
Yep, adios, Pat.
Bye.
What are we gonna talk about now, Nathan? I don't think we'd have any free time.
Trying to get us now. I got a reason.
Not happen for like 3 more weeks.
I'm just gonna make now like I have this little screen now, and then you have the big screen. I think I can make it bigger though. Here, I'll put you right by your head.
You literally just need one big rectangle.
Oh, look, I can make myself bigger, so I'm just sitting above your head now. So it's just me and then you.
That's weird.
It's kind of cool.
Oh,
it's kind of neat.
You're gonna make the YouTube one good.
You want me to make it smaller, back to being small again?
I don't know. Can you make it equal like we see it on the Zoom?
Oh, it's gonna take me a second, but yes, I can actually do that. I actually don't remember how I did it, but we'll figure it out here in a second. There we go. There we go. We're back. Okay, everyone. Smooth transition. Technical difficulties. We're back to the 2-man podcast.
I have no idea what's going on because I don't see any of that. That is all
you will.
Your end.
You'll see my shifty hand.
I'm always so disappointed on the YouTube.
Stop it.
And we need to bring up this quality on
Stop
YouTube.
it. The
Dude,
quality of production.
speaking of which, maybe we should do a views check-in. Let's see how the views are doing.
Yeah, let's hit him with it. Actually, I can't. Actually, yes, I can. Hold on.
I don't care if they know.
I do. I care.
All right. Tiana's in first place, though. I know that much.
I guarantee you she's on the Spotify one probably too.
Hmm.
Oh my. She's
Oh
almost
my.
got 50 plays.
Almost 50 plays.
49.
Why do we get so many more on YouTube?
49. The last one got 19. Pretty solid. Like for just me and you, a 19 is very solid.
Yeah. On mine, it got quite a few views too for some reason. It's because we've had guests on, so people are like, "Oh,
yeah,
maybe they have something good," and then we hit them with just us, and they're like,
no. But
These
shout out
fucking clowns again.
my clients though, because like
"Because they actually care.
they have been listening.
They're nice people."
because they work. Some of them work jobs that they can sit there and listen for a long time. So
Oh, do they?
they give me good feedback on what we're
I
doing.
used to do that, people. I used to do that once upon a time, about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago? Yeah. I listened to, the first 1,000 episodes of Joe Rogan. And that's not an exaggeration.
Jesus.
That's not a joke at all.
That's so crazy. That's going to be
So
us.
yeah. Now the fact that I get to make a podcast,
It's pretty cool.
cool.
I was going to ask you, and you don't have to spill the secret sauce if you don't want to kind of elaborate a little bit further.
I'll spill secret sauce. I don't care.
A little bit further into what you felt like when you were talking about your accommodating resistance and how you felt like you could just continue to cycle that and it would just continue to work over and over and over and again.
Well, I mean, that's probably not going to happen because everything has to get changed at some point, right?
Well, I mean, it feels like you're changing it enough though to like avoid the law of accommodation.
Well, we have to rewind here and like give some backstory because I'm not even 100% sure where we're going with this or where we're at.
We're just spitballing. It's a free ball at this
I know
point.
we're spitballing, but we're talking about you look at these views real quick, and Tiana in first place with 136.
Solid.
Then we got Val with 108. And then Bird is in third. Where is he? Bird's the word. 81.
Shout out Birdman.
He's like, does anybody even watch mine? I'm like, dude, you got the third most views on YouTube. Crushing it.
Did you see the picture of his new building? It looked like.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I saw him. I thought
that place looked
a couple podcasts ago, and you told me that was not.
That place looked huge.
We got Zach coming in 64 views.
Zach's got a lot on the Spotify. He's got the second most.
We need to give some love to the Depp episode. You guys need to go listen to that one.
Yeah, what the heck?
Well, also that needs some love. And then Joey, come on. Those are like each between 28 to 33 episodes.
Especially the Depp episode. That's a great one.
Depp is a good
if you haven't listened to the Mark Deppin episode, you're literally missing out because it's hilarious.
Just listen to all the one with guests because we don't fucking talk that much. So
yeah, don't worry about us. Go give the other people some love. Show them.
And I need to chat GTP this description on YouTube.
How did you get the chapters in there?
Oh, Tiana did that. She went on through, and you know what I'm going to start doing?
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go through. I thought of it on this one. I'm going to go through and bookmark all the ads. Just have those as the only thing you can click on and listen to.
Just the only time stamps are when we plug something.
Yeah.
That's funny because, I mean, I think people would. They would click on that.
Well, just to see what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes me, I'm always like, if I see a YouTube video with chapters in it, I'm always like, scrolling ahead to what I want to find. So
yeah, that's why when she sent me that, I'm like, what is this? And then I saw the thing. You literally just put it like anywhere in the description or in the comments and it'll make them. Like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's sick.
And then so I was on the search for an AI that would do it for me. Did not find one yet. So.
YouTube does it, I think, doesn't it?
Allegedly, but they don't show up.
I think there's a ticker.
I have it turned on.
Oh, okay. I was curious. Couldn't even click the ticker box. Get your life together.
No, are you kidding me?
Well, maybe.
So back to this training thing.
Well, can you, Mr. Scientist, can you explain what the law of accommodation is in the first place? To the people that don't think you're intelligent, and you can show them this moment where you are.
Actual definition. I would refer to this because it's just way better.
Just look it up in Science and Practice.
I don't want to grab the book.
Hey, wait, I can just look it up in the new book of methods if you want me to.
Sure, you can tell us what that one says.
Let's see what Mr. Louis Simmons says.
I'm gonna give you go with that one, and I will give you.
I have to find it first. I'm sure it's in here. He talks about it a lot because of the maximal effort.
Basically, so if we want to go simple, law of accommodation is a biological law that simply states if we do the same stimulus over and over again, that stimulus becomes less of a signal for change.
It's pretty good. It's pretty top notch there. Well done.
But that was as written by Mr. Dr. Shivers
or
Mr. John Quint. I'm not sure which one, but
so from the brainchild of Louis Simmons, we know that training with weights above 90% for 3 weeks will cause a negative training effect. To remedy this, the conjugate method is employed. So
So what the scientists discovered, and what Louis seemed to run into because he had high level athletes, I think, is you have 3 to 6 weeks roughly of doing the same thing before you start to plateau or not see a change. Right.
Yep.
That sounds about right.
Yep. Correct.
So what did you do with your athletes just recently to get them to PR?
I ran them through a 4-week wave of changing accommodating resistance.
So you were they max effort or were they sub-maximal?
I did. So I did both. I ran maximal effort accommodating resistance variations, and I ran dynamic effort method based on the book of methods.
So you were running those simultaneously in the same week?
Mm-hmm. But I spaced it out over. I took what a typical West Side template, is you're going to do max effort upper and lower and dynamic upper and lower in 7 days. And I took that and just stretched it out to 9 days. So max effort lower, then a recovery day.
So you're giving them 2 days off on the weekend. Otherwise, it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday split, right?
Right. So I just gave them a longer duration of rest to help them recover between each stimulus. Because in my opinion, and I know Zach and I talked to Zach on this when Zach was talking about brief maximal tension. He says that they're kids and they can recover very quickly. I've actually seen the opposite to be true. I don't think they recover worth a damn because they tell me what their habits are, and just based on what their habits are, there's no way that I'm going to make them do anything.
I think it depends on what you consider recovered and what you consider stressed and what you look at as far as all the indicators.
I do it based
there's a long list of indicators, right? And if you're really maniacal about it, you can start to see them really early on and you can catch it. And then because of social norms and cultural things, people will be like, well, you got to push through it, blah, blah, blah.
No,
it'd be like CrossFit where you wear it as a badge.
No, I don't wear badges in my gym. We try to do things smart.
Right, because what happens when you get an actual setback?
Then you're screwed.
Well, it's way more mentally demotivating and like mentally it is way worse than any physical part of the pain.
Yep. So I try to look in, I try to see it in their jumps. I try to see it in their sprint times. I try to see it.
You do any grip tests?
I do grip tests sometimes. Yeah. Dynamometer changes. I also see it in their sled times. If
sure, the sled one's an easy one, and slow down, you're like, oh, something's
really stressed. Yeah. So I use that. I have some indicators that I use, and to me, and again, there's millions, hundreds, thousands of ways to do this, but it would seem that extending the microcycle has been very beneficial to my younger clients, and so I can't say yet because I still have one more kid to. He has to run his retest next week, but it would seem that at least everyone 50-pound PR'd on both of their lower body workouts, like their 1 rep max squat deadlift, and everyone PR'd by at least 25 pounds on their bench press. So
when you said you made a wave, what does that mean? You waved the accommodating resistance. So accommodating resistance is a change in the resistance by using either like bands or chains. Right.
I kind of use what you talked about and what you kind of ran me through. So I didn't just only do max effort work with them. I cycled in the dynamic work as well, just to kind of see, because I was curious.
So would you go back and forth, or would you go upper, lower, max? Upper, lower, dynamic.
I went I went lower body max, and then I rest day or recovery day, and then I did upper body max effort, and then I did a recovery day, and then I would run their first dynamic effort day with bands or chains or whatever, and then I would cycle it back over to Monday. So Monday would be another dynamic effort day, and then the following Wednesday would be another max effort day.
So by that third and fourth wave, they were doing dynamic effort twice a week instead of once a week.
Yeah.
Did you notice it start to trend upwards more then because they were getting more of that?
So that
end of the spectrum.
Yeah. What I saw was we had to add weight to the bar because the speeds were just too much. They were like, if you went strictly based on percentages that you read within, the text that you're reading, it didn't work because they were just way too fast.
So you were seeing their nervous system adapt so quickly that the maxes you had gotten, say,
it didn't work.
Previous week even.
Yep. It didn't work. They were not working.
So you would do like a max effort lower on a squat, let's say on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then because you did squat and bench only, right?
So I did dead and bench. We ran a sumo and we ran a bench is what we did.
Okay, so you did a sumo and a bench. And so from the first one to the second one, by the time you did the dynamic work, which was 5 days later, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Well,
4 days later.
No.
You did it on a Monday. So on Friday, when you did your first dynamic workout, was the weight already skewed?
Yes.
From the adaptation on Monday?
Yes.
Really?
There were some kids that I would base it upon whatever their previous one max are, and it was just like, okay, you're blowing that out of the water. Like, what are we doing here? Like I had guys doing like, we were squatting to like a 15-inch box with green bands at 200 pounds on the bar with green bands doing speed work. And it was just like blowing it out of the water. And I'm like, well, we have to add weight because like these aren't the speeds that I need. Like we're moving incredibly too fast. So, yeah, it was interesting. I think they adapted really, really quickly. And on their jumps, I would notice it on their jumps too, even when you added, so I added resistance. I kept the same jump variations based on the day that we were doing. And even with like resistance, they were still jumping to the same heights that they were jumping in the previous week or the previous time that they did that variation.
Have you done that with anyone where you make them do it with like resistance and then let them do it without?
We're going to retest this week. Not this week, but next.
My nephew, I hand time it. So it's really shitty anyways, but it was literally like a half a second difference from doing sprints with this. Like before we did sprints, then he made him do sprints with the sled.
Yeah. That's what I did.
Took the sled off of him. He's like, that felt really slow. I was like, dude, that was a half second faster. All day.
Yeah. Yeah. I did some sprint work during this. We did a lot of jumps and we did a lot of sprints too. I kind of went with what Bird said, like you can jump a lot, like they can jump a lot, but I did it on a way to where I didn't just try to do it every day where I was giving a ton of jump volume, obviously every day. I spaced out a lot of time in between when they had to do that jump variation again. So I kind of let them recover. And
that was like, I like how Zach said sprints on the upper body days and jumps on the lower body days.
Yep. So that worked out pretty well. I'm anxious to see what the jump numbers look like when we retest next week. I'm really, really anxious to see like where some of their standing box jumps are, approach box jumps are, verticals are. Because I just kind of see this as a big peaking wave. Like I saw this, like I ran this and I'm like, this could be a really good.
Why do you believe it's a peaking wave? Is my question. That's the context we needed.
I would say because they're going to neurologically be at their best right before they need to be. But
there's been no deload. You've given absolutely no time for super compensation to happen.
It happened. I don't know what to tell you.
No, there's adaptations that are occurring 110%.
Oh, after
peaking is really what we're talking about is super compensation. Right?
Yeah. So
in order to elicit super compensation, you have to have a deload of intensity of some sort, right? It doesn't have to be completely absent of, but there has to be something that occurs to deload it.
I see what you're saying.
What we were talking about is if I hypothetically, right, because I so far using these different accommodating resistances have been hitting PRs at the top, right? So my nervous system is experiencing heavier loads each time I've worked out since I started prepping for the competition again, right? So if theoretically I'm experiencing that and the nervous system doesn't know any different, And then on my straight weight at the end of my wave, right? Like what I was talking about is going through all of them and maybe even having a bands and change one at some point
Mm-hmm.
to throw in there, but using accommodating resistance to change that stimuli so that accommodation is not happening because the resistance profile is changing from week to week, right? And then you end that with a test on straight weight. Theoretically, if I'm adding, say, 5 pounds a week in accommodating resistance at the top, and it's not straight weight, right? I'm experiencing that much more force on my body. And when I go to do the test, a 5-pound PR now is almost like a deload.
Mm-hmm.
Even though at the bottom of the movement, it's probably an overload of what I've been doing because it's been deloaded this whole
Right.
time.
Right.
Right. So stress wise, it might balance out or even be a dip. But like what I was explaining to you is we've never done a real peaking cycle. And there is a part of a peaking cycle where you're actually doing significantly less volume.
Right. And that taper.
That's to let that super compensation to actually occur.
Right. I think.
And when that happens, holy shit.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I think for the brief maximal tension way that I'm going to run, I was because the percentages just seem not very fun as far as like reps and volume and things like that. So what I think I'm going to do.
Well, but that's what a lot of kids need. I think that's why they have so much success with that is you're teaching them the shitty reps, right?
Yeah.
Like, better get good at these.
Yeah, it could be that too. And I'd kind of just told you like what I'd seen out of a couple kids that have already started it, but like I think after they run that and they run their testing week, I think I'm going to try to throw in some kind of like systemic deload and just kind of let them recover that way, maybe for a week, maybe a week and a half, and then go right back into their next wave and see what happens. I don't know. They might be fine. Like I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen. People are Harley and I have been talking. We're just like, what do you think is going to happen? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like I've never ran this. I've never ran it effectively. So I'm just going to learn. Like this is a big learning wave for me. And we're just going to have to read kids and kind of be good coaches and make changes on the floor when we see we need to. So it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be really fun.
What I was getting at is like you could run your 4-week wave.
Mm-hmm.
You saw progression. And now you have new maxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new stimulus.
Yeah. So
right?
you're saying just run the same wave again, only with different percentages and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's progressive overload, isn't it?
I agree. Yeah. I could. I just want to try something else. Okay. Leave me alone.
No, that's fine. I understand that. But like Louis' big thing also was always if it's working, don't change
Don't
it.
change it. Yeah. If
like,
it works.
I make slight modifications because I think I can get more out of it.
Yeah.
Well, like I used majority of that fifth set stuff for my first competition and I felt really good, but I think it was a little bit underwhelming on the volume and I recovered like super easy, which wasn't a bad thing.
Well, but your conditioning
there was more to
also
squeeze out of the juice. Yeah, but now like my legs are fucked today. Like
those blue bands, dude. I'm telling you.
it was the box squats.
You think
Those
so?
12-inch box squat.
Oh, after. You're talking about what after. Yeah. That 12-inch
Well, yeah,
box is
'cause
not fun.
using the optimal numbers of that fucking chart are bullshit, bro. Like
On fifth set?
that's no. Well, I do like
Or Prilpin's chart?
I use Prilipin's chart.
Yeah.
Basically. I would say it's like a fifth set, but it's not because it's only 4 sets and there's no AMRAP, so it's not like.
So you're just using what's prescribed.
Yeah, I figured out a way to do it, and you do a little extra on the last one to really fucking suck it up.
So you did what, 3
3x4 in a set of 6.
But you did what I'm saying is like what percentage? So if you're doing it 6 reps,
75% of my max.
75%, yeah.
Oh, and my competition max.
Oh. Ouch.
After I maxed out with the blue bands.
Ouch. Would you go to a 12-inch box on the blue bands?
No, that was a free squat. So my max
Oh, it
effort,
was? Okay.
because I have
That's right.
one mesocycle before the peaking cycle before comp.
Yeah.
So I
So
have
you
this
need
is like I have to make this like a building /
yeah.
Almost peaking cycle.
Got to do your sport, people. Got to practice your sport.
So literally, yeah, I look at the first half of my workout is I'm going to do my barbell movement, and this is with accommodating resistance, which not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I'm hoping that it doesn't fuck me with my shoulders on the bench, but I have the bamboo bar to balance that out. I'm hoping. We'll see.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, so I max out, and then I do a special accessory for 18 reps,
Secondary
75%.
lift. That's what Zach was talking about with his secondary lift. Like he does the dumbbell incline dumbbell or the barbell incline on days that he bench presses. He said he did use
That's
the
a good
sumo.
one.
Yeah, he does the sumo too on days after they squat. So, but it's like it's much lower intensity, like what you're talking about, 75%. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, because you can still build strength that way too.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So.
What do you think about?
Yeah.
Is it more like from a fatiguing standpoint too, as far as fibers are concerned? Like,
well, that's the idea, right?
Right.
The more you fatigue the muscles, the more you get those bigger motor units to turn on.
Right.
If I've already fucked them up by doing a max effort,
right.
I don't know.
So they're turned on.
Like,
They're
for
being
me,
used.
what I did is like I basically just took all the stress that I took out of the main movement with the accommodating resistance and threw it in with the secondary movement with a wide stance instead.
I'm with you.
Because I used a cambered bar to a 12-inch box.
That's tough. That cambered bar, man. Mm.
So that was fun.
Yours has to be a lot better than mine, obviously. But
I mean, it doesn't swing, so that makes it a little bit nicer.
Oh God, dude.
Worry about the weight, but
dude, maybe that's the brief maximal tension bar. Put them on a 12-inch box and use the cambered bar with them, and just see how fast they can adapt off that thing. You're telling me that bar wouldn't create the fast adaptation technique?
The 12-inch box is one of the secret juices that nobody talks about. Well, Anthony and just Hoff were talking about it. Yeah, they loved it there.
10-inch
the
box.
12-inch box.
10-inch box.
You got a 10-inch one? Oof.
Oh my God. I don't think I'd get off the box with 150 pounds.
I don't know. I was only doing 225 yesterday. It was pretty humbling.
Oh, it does. I was showing a client that today. I'm like, man, when you get down to these boxes, like it's a humbling experience the first time you do it. So shout out Bill for letting me torture you on the low box.
But the other thing that I was going to do through the mesocycles is change the amount of accommodating resistance I'm using so I can work on being faster towards the peak as opposed to more raw strength.
Yeah.
Because also, I learned from Mr. Quint that George Halbert talked about was he was never too weak for a lift. He just wasn't fast enough.
I think Louis pretty much said that about every time. It's like people don't fail a lift because of their strength. They fail it because of the speed. They don't apply the speed into the bar like they need to. So it's usually where people fail. Speed. That's why I tell my kids, like, be fast. You gotta be fast. Gotta be fast. You gotta win.
The shitty part is I have the capacity for it.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Just like I don't know how to use it in that form.
Yeah, because your maximal force output's there. You just need to learn how to get to that top number quickly, which is also known as
rate of force development.
Rate of force development. That's not real though.
Who says that's not real?
Coaches that don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was people would dispute the rate of force development.
Oh, dude, I don't know. I'm still trying to find a correlation between reverse bands and what the actual number will be right before you pull off the floor with greens.
What do you mean?
Like, what's the, like, you know, like if they did this number with reverse bands, what should you expect them to pull off the floor type of thing?
Why does it matter?
I don't know. Just curious. I like to see correlations, you know?
The reverse band thing, in my opinion, is to get the visualization of the weight in your head and moving it. So then when you do the straight bar weight, you don't even care.
That's what I for me, yes. Like mentally, it's like, oh, I've already had way more than this in my hand. We're fine.
Well, and you don't have the weight releasers to try that part of the wave. That's the other part of the secret sauce.
I'm going to buy them.
Because when you overload that shit with like another 35% is like I'm going to do.
You're just like, oh, God.
Fucking shoot out of the hole. I'm going to finally learn what those knee sleeves are capable of when I get to those.
You're going to jump when that weight comes up, probably.
Maybe. Let's hope. That's the middle that I always feel it.
The middle? Yeah, that's where I'm the same with like stuff
Someone
like
was telling me that's pretty common. That's where people just break.
the middle. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
What did he say it was? So as you're driving up, the quads are getting more advantaged and the glutes and adductors are getting less advantaged. So you start to like hinge over a little more.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, because you see that a lot. It's very common.
Stripper squats.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. So at that point, when they decide to pull their pelvis forward, quads have quite a bit of help, but the hips don't have as much.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, Papa,
what else we got?
Anything else you want to go over?
Knock that shit off. I can tell you that.
What?
What? Huh?
Papa? Papa
Fucking
Alex.
jackass.
Papa Alex.
No. Negative Ghost Rider.
You don't
I
want
thought
someone
I
calling
did.
you Papa one day?
I don't know about all that.
Oh, there you go. We'll get into the deep bowels of Alex's brain.
Deep bowels? I don't know that anybody needs to be in my bowels. First of
Whoa.
all, that's a little weird.
No, of your brain, not your actual bowels. Good God, this guy always takes it to a weird place.
Always got to go to the. Well, it just makes everyone else feel awkward. So then I don't have
When's your next meet?
to. November 18th. What is that? 4 months?
Wow, you got plenty of time to be a strong lad then.
It's not though. I literally get one mesocycle before I have to peak. I don't think that's a lot of
One
time.
mesocycle from November,
Yeah,
August,
my
September.
mesocycles are 12
October,
days. My micros
November.
are 12 days.
Oh, so you're. Oh, okay. You're
Trust
still
me, I reverse
that?
engineered this shit from.
No.
the
I
fucking
figured.
A.
I figured. I just.
No, it's
I
like
forgot.
that, but it's more. I take way more rest.
I forgot. You're the guy that does the weird 1 day and then 2 days of rest and then lift again and then 1 day. Yeah,
I
which
do
it
one
works.
intense exercise every 72 hours.
But yes, I can see how your mesocycles would be a little different. I got it. I'm with you. So
Yeah,
how?
they're,
Wait, you said it was 9 days?
12.
12 days. Oh. But you can't do that. Mesocycles or microcycles are only 7 days.
That's who?
Says
Who
every
put a number
programming
on
book.
it?
I don't know. It says it can be very variant, obviously. But then it says, I think in Thomas Kerr's book, it's like a majority of people, you can make your microcycle whatever you want it to be, but a majority of people stick with the 7 day because it's just like the
because
work
that's
week.
just how we think. We think in these terms that we've been conditioned and programmed to think in to be factory workers. I live my life on 1
Quarter
day at
mile
a
at a
time,
time.
and fucking every day is different. They all feel the same, but
Do you ever what was that movie? I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
fucking Fast and Furious.
No, it's not that one. There's another one. It's
That's
like
what that's from.
No, it's like a motorcycle one.
Are you talking about was it like Wild Boys or something stupid with the crotch rockets?
Maybe. I can't remember.
Bad.
That was pretty funny. And
Like
the lady,
Tyrese?
and the girl ends up saying like, "That's the corniest thing I've ever heard in my life."
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, I gotta Google it now. I live.
Gonna come up with Vin Diesel.
Probably will. Yep. Probably. Yeah, there's the Vin Diesel one.
But yeah, I signed up yesterday, so it's official. I'm gonna see if I can make 90 kilos.
90 kilos. How's the cut going?
It's okay. It's repetitive.
Repetitive. Do the thing, get the thing, do the thing.
I eat
get
the same
thing.
4 things every day.
Yeah. It's what it
Switch it
takes.
up a little bit here or
sometimes.
there.
Yeah.
Training days, I give myself a steak. I go way over on protein. It usually feels pretty good.
That's hilarious.
What? It's good. Feels nice.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, throw a steak in every now and then. Would be better, probably.
Been using new wood pellet grill, which is not working as well as the Traeger that I had so far, but who knows? Maybe I'm just an idiot. Possible.
So it's not going well for you? Is that what you're saying?
It's just not much flavor yet from the smoker, allegedly.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. There's other shit I can fuck with that I mess with here. And I got good at least cooking it, so it tastes good. Doesn't taste bad. It's way better than a regular grill. It's
Yeah,
just not very signature smoky flavor from the pellets that I'm used to.
Yeah. We don't do any of that cool stuff. We just use the Blackstone and move on.
Well, this was, cheap Walmart purchase, and the other one was not functional, so it's
Cheap, huh? Interesting.
like $350
That's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good.
for a wood pellet grill. No way. That's
Get out of here. In this market?
Get
No
outta here.
way.
You
No
kidding
way.
me?
You kidding me in this
fuck out
market?
of here. Oh man, my feet were so sore from jumps yesterday. I don't know how
What?
the kids do it.
What kind of jumps did you do?
Dumbbell jumps. I forgot to record them. They're not on my story.
Yeah, the landing is not fun on those things.
Yeah, it's real. It is
Oh.
a real landing.
I think when when Benny does like his max effort ones when they're testing, he makes them throw it right before they hit the ground.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the landing, he's like, it's gonna hurt when you're 40 inches above and then you're coming
Yeah, I
crashing
don't
down.
care. You need to learn to absorb that force.
That would hurt.
I don't think so.
No, I agree. I think they do it right before impact or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't want to hear. I don't want to say what I do or don't know completely about his training because I don't want to throw him under the bus. Gets people to
I don't
jump
think
high.
that's thrown under the bus.
Yeah, never know. Never know
Saying
how
that they
people
drop-
take things.
I'm just saying I'm an asshole and I would make them land with it.
He strikes again, everyone.
Dun 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 dun. Main training philosophy: make it as hard as possible.
That would be less than what you actually. Because that wouldn't fit into your philosophy of least effective dosage.
I didn't say within a certain parameters. That's
This
I would
guy.
make it as
He's
hard as
always got
possible with the minimum.
back alley little comments that he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to leave this out for you, buddy."
What? What are you talking about? It's not my fault.
Within the parameter, you said make it as hard as possible. That's not least
yeah,
effective
within
dosage.
the parameters that are laid out.
No, see, you didn't say that though.
Right.
No,
But that's
we're gonna go with no. What's the Jeopardy noise when they get the thing wrong?
I don't know. Hopefully, it should be the wah wah wah.
We were looking for Alex is still an asshole for 500. Alex.
Yeah. What is it about? I've been thinking about this because I'm a strength sport athlete. Quote
Ooh.
unquote. Not really, but
Yes, you are. Powerlifter. Powerlifter.
dabble.
Dabble.
Why don't they understand that? Like,
Who's
only
they?
part of
Wait
the
a minute.
training-
No. Who's
strength
they?
sport athletes. Why
Oh,
does it seem to be like a misconception?
I thought you were gonna throw some
these
shade.
folks. Who's what? Like shitheads?
No.
Who am I going to throw some shade
Never
on? Like,
mind.
I don't know. Who's they?
Move on.
They? I don't know who the fuck they
We're getting
is.
hung
They
up.
would be the people
The
that
people
don't
that do the
understand what
sport.
I'm about to explain.
The people who do
Like-
the sport.
You're doing a quote unquote sport. I mean, strongman's a sport.
Is it a
Sure.
sport though? I don't know. Is powerlifting
Strongman
a
is, I
sport?
think. It's hard. Powerlifting, it's definitely a competition.
Yeah, but what's the difference between okay, no offense.
I don't
I'm
fucking
sorry
know.
if you're a cheerleader out there. It's not a sport. It's a competition. It's not a sport.
Whatever, dude. Those chicks are athletic as fuck.
Stop.
You not watch the documentary thing
They're
on Netflix?
they're
Those
athletes.
chicks are crazy.
I'm not saying they're not athletes. I'm saying it's not a sport. It's a competition.
Okay. I got you. So
I don't know where the
Potentially
parameters are.
Anyways, if you're participating in this, whatever you want to call it, whether it's a pageant like bodybuilding,
Yeah.
or a competition like powerlifting,
There we go. Okay.
or
Whatever.
You're gonna practice that thing though,
Mhm.
right? Like
Mhm.
bodybuilding is a good example. They have posing practice that's not lifting practice.
Correct.
Why is it when we start getting into lifting things like strongman stuff, powerlifting, even Olympic lifting, it's like, oh, we just got to do the sport all the time. Like, wait, what? Since when?
That would mean
Where's the supplemental training to go with the sport?
that would mean that everything that you're doing is then SPP. Not everything in our training needs to be SPP.
What is SPP, Nathan? Just talking all this jargon.
SSB, excuse me. SSB is sport specific. Wait, no, is that right? What's the last word? Why am I'm drawing a blank? Sports
Sport
preparedness. Sports
physical preparedness. Physical preparedness.
Sport specific preparedness or sport specific whatever training. SST, whatever you want to call it. But that would mean that all the training that you're doing is SSB then, and that's not how training is supposed to be divvied up. Correct?
That's what I'm aware of. But for some reason, because moving a barbell around in a gym looks like the competition or the sport, forget that there's like other stuff you got to do in the gym to help with that sport. You treat it
Yeah.
like an athlete.
I mean, I look at it as, I don't always have baseball players do baseball things to make them better at baseball. So, I mean, clearly.
You mean like to throw a football better? You're not going in and throw weights around with like a football?
Well, I mean, no, I just tell, I tell parents like, when they're like, well, how do they increase this? Or how do they increase their velocity? Or how do they do this? I'm like, well, there's going to come a point where, their physical capabilities are going to be reached through genetics. Like you're going to have to enhance those capabilities through some kind of training method, and how you choose to do that, it's completely up to you, but
There's a lot of ways to get stronger.
Yeah. Like our bat speed program, if anyone wants to know, or anyone's out there listening, our bat speed program and our throwing velocity program is our weight room. Like it's not, we're not doing anything with lessons or, I mean, yeah, you can clean up mechanics at a later date. I mean, those are all true things, but our weight room is our bat speed and velocity
Wait, you
development
mean at some
program.
point technique is not going to make you better at this thing?
Well, I
You
have a
have to actually develop more strength and or speed.
yeah. Like some people have higher ceilings, obviously, and can throw harder based on their mechanics. But at some point, that ceiling is going to be met one way or the other, and you have to find a way to increase your capacity. If you don't want to do that, then just stay stuck, I guess.
But
But
why would squats make me throw faster, Nathan? That doesn't make
because the musculature that you're training can increase the abilities, the capabilities that you're wanting to display. But changing that musculature would be a good thing, or the neural output that you're looking for, or the
So
rate
you,
of
do you
force
want to go down
development.
like the neuro part of it? It's pretty interesting. Create neural nets, and then when you create these neural nets, you can stimulate them with more and more energy, and they get fucking stronger and stronger. So you get faster rate of force production and more strength, and it just keeps fucking
Keeps
getting
going.
crazier and crazier.
It's crazy. It's like
But because you have neural nets is the very reason why you can't allow shitty rips. Because if you strengthen the shitty neural net, that leads to bad form and it leads to an accident.
bad patterning.
Ooh, buddy,
Bad patterning.
ain't good.
Someone asked me, "Is that like muscle memory?" And I'm like,
Yes, neural nets
kinda,
are exactly
yeah.
no. That's 100%. That's
Yeah.
exactly what muscle memory is
Yeah.
a neural net.
I wasn't gonna speak on behalf of the neural nets, but
As you don't use them though, they start to get worse. Or you can think of them as like lights, right? Like some of them shine bright as fuck because you use them all the time, while other ones barely dim on, or don't dim on at all.
right.
Right? Like you go to like do pails and rails at end range, and oh no, I can't feel anything. It's like, well, you don't have any nervous system. Nothing is here.
Hasn't been used in a minute. You might want to.
So what you're doing when you're seeing these 50-pound increases, I want to rain on your training because nothing's really happening, but you're just making those neural nets way stronger.
Yep.
They're just turning on. They're like, bam, now we can do this.
Yep.
And you probably added like maybe 5 pounds.
It's fine. He's just gonna shit all over my
Actual
ability
tissue.
to program on people.
No, in like tissue terms, right? Like you could probably
yeah.
nervous system. People don't realize are most adaptations that people feel so quickly.
Mm-hmm. I think I read that somewhere in a book that neural always is a faster adaptation than musculature, but
Do you know why?
I'm just going to refer to the growing tissue as hard.
That's part of it is efficiency. Yeah, adaptations neurologically make your body more efficient.
Yeah.
Whereas muscular adaptations to add more muscle makes your body much more inefficient.
Mm-hmm.
Requires a
More energy
environment full
expenditure.
of plentiful nutrients to make that.
Yeah.
But that's why, in theory, I should be able to cut to 90 kilos and get stronger at the same time.
Yep.
So far as happening.
Isn't that the whole reason behind most training? That's like you want to increase neural adaptation and not necessarily muscular adaptations because of like how their sports work.
But there is some prevalence to the bigger you get, the stronger you get.
Yeah, but like for wrestling, for example, like if you're trying to fight, obviously in a weight class, you have to maintain a weight. But
what do you mean? Didn't you see in the group chat today that fucking deadlifts are bad and don't translate to fighting at all? It'll hurt you.
Oh dear God, those poor people.
You not see that?
Yeah, I saw the video. I just moved on.
Speaking of which, hello, conjugate church people. If you ever listen to this end of the podcast, it's gonna happen. But this is the Easter egg in this one. Any of you fuckers listen, you better bring it up in the group chat.
Like, comment, or subscribe.
You get an achievement like Xbox that you've made it this far.
We'll send you a gold
star.
Let
me know you made it this far, yeah, and I'll send you, I don't know, a sticker or something.
We'll send you a gold star in the group chat. It'll be code. Everyone will be like, "What's happening?"
Yeah, it'll be like the cool thing to do, like the mystery box. What do you think? Would you buy a mystery box? $100?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about that. I was like, what if it's
Give
literally
it to Arlie as a present?
What if it's like women's apparel?
Like his going away present?
Ooh, not a bad idea. I got the I got micro minis, like I said, or not micros. I just got minis. They were on 2 for 1.
The black ones?
Like, no, I got the red ones. My red ones needed to be changed.
I think those are the micro, or those are the.
They're just minis.
Those are monster minis. You're right. The blacks are monster bands.
Yeah.
Very fucking stupid names. Reading that in the book was like the worst part.
Confusing.
Like trying to figure out what bands he was even talking about. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, what do you mean? Then the purple ones were pink back in the day, and now they're purple.
It's a crap show.
Those blue ones, those are something else, fresh out the box.
Yeah, I showed Arlie the picture, and he was like, "Are those brand new?" And I'm like, "I think so." He's like, "Oh, good luck."
57.5 pounds on each side at the top.
Why is yours so much different than mine? I don't understand.
Because you're that much taller than me.
I don't think I'm that much taller.
Dude, it grows exponentially. So what does yours add?
I had 170 pounds of blue when I did the squat.
So you had like 90 pounds on each side almost.
Yeah.
80 pounds.
Yeah, 85. They were 85.
85 on each side. Yeah, I mean, it gets real fucking hard where it started for me.
Mine was in the middle.
I mean, I could make the pins wider, but I don't know I'm making it up to the bar.
I think that's what I did. I just made them too wide, but mine are also a little older, so I don't know. Because I was like,
deadlift day. We'll see where it looks like on.
Mine were literally 100 more.
I'm
each.
petrified for, by the way.
Nah, you'll be fine. You know how to do things properly, unlike me.
Only because I've done them fucked up. Like, everyone thinks I'm fucking perfect. Like, no, dummies. I've practiced for about 10 years fucking myself up before I seriously started telling anybody else what to do.
Yep. That's what I think someone says, like, wait a minute, didn't he get hurt on a Zercher squat? And I'm like, yep, he sure did. And why do you think he knows this stuff?
Well, I know I can fix anyone's back.
Yeah, mine felt good.
Start saying bold shit like that so people listen to the podcast.
Did not feel good yesterday when I did sled walks. Oh my God. I don't know what happened. It like seized up almost. Huh?
You have to stay braced.
It was fine. No, like the walk was fine. It was after.
Everybody who does sled walks, you're supposed to brace your fucking shit the whole time you're walking.
Stay very tall. Stand very upright.
You don't have to do that. Just brace against the belt.
Well, Louis says you have to stand really tall.
Well, I mean, you should do that anyways because you're proud, but.
No. Not how it works. You ready to train the stones today? Yeah. Oh, boy. Give him free reign. I'm about to leave. I'm going to come down there. He's going to train some. How old are they? 12? Stupid little crap. Dude, the freaking male ego is amazing. This little kid had been punking me for like 6 months, and he came and lifted with his friend the other day and like trap bar PR'd by like 60 pounds. I'm like, cool, buddy. You've been wasting your time for the last 5 months. Sweet. Love it. Comes in with Arlie on day one. Boom. He's a better trainer than me already. Maybe not, though. Maybe not yet. We'll see what he pulls on sumo day. I'm going to put it on the story.
If it's not at least 500, it's garbage.
He said if it's not 500, it's garbage. He said it'll be 500. His grip strength needs to go way up. You got any recommendations for that one, buddy?
Over under.
Huh?
Over under.
Over under?
The over under grip will fix
No,
that.
he does that.
And still sucks?
His grip strength is 97 pounds.
What does that even mean?
Well, I pull 160 with like if on the dynamometer.
160?
Yeah, and this guy pulls 97. So
you got all kinds of gadgets over there.
What was 100 the other day? He's like, it was a broke 100 the other day.
You broke 100? Oh boy.
New PR.
Yanking extra ones off
He's
at home
like,
this week.
He's like, Cooper says when you need to overload tissue, you can wear straps. So I'm going to listen to that.
Oh, he knows how to read captions.
He said you know how to read captions. We got to get it. I'm going to get him in here next week. We'll just put him like, right. We'll get him a screen.
No, we don't want. We have another guest next week. We don't want him to ruin it.
Oh, okay. Maybe not next week. Week after.
Nope. We have a guest that week too.
Oh my God. Never mind. You're never coming on.
I get these things lined up. As soon as we get done with one, I'm like, oh man.
It's always funny. Yeah. Because I'm always like, hey, I'm going to ask this guest on. I ask them. They're like, yeah, they're maybe not. And then you ask them and they're like, yeah, oh, come on. I'm like, cool, man. Cool. Really neat. Really cool. We know
maybe I'm just more decisive in how I fucking execute. And I'm like, hey, do you want to come in on this day at this time?
Must be.
Like, you're probably like, hey, if you got the time, it'd be really nice if, like something like.
I give them dates.
Yeah. I'm sure you don't.
All right. Get out of my life until next week.
Really not the booking part.
I don't want to talk to you for 2 hours until next week. Get out of my life.
See you later, fuckface.
All right. Thanks, guys. If you've made it to this point, probably Bill Flowers only is the only one that has made it to this point, and CJ Taylor.
Bill, you got your second Xbox achievement this time.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.